Good evening, and welcome to the Targeted Massachusetts Northeast Conference. My name is Frank Allen, and tonight we are going to have a very special guest. His name is Tim, and for anonymity reasons, he is going to keep his last name a secret for now. At this point in time, I would like to thank all supporters of Targeted Massachusetts and the Allen Institute. If you are in the audience, you know who you are, and we are very pleased to serve you. And I think probably by 9:10, we should be in a situation where we can have Tim speak, and we will go to Q&A mode at that time, and we'll give Tim a chance to speak. He is here. He had some difficulty dialing in, so he downloaded the app, and he is fine. But once again, I would like to thank all of our supporters. We have some people that are overly unmuted. Oh, for lack of a better word right now. Okay, so do we have anybody that would like to speak right now before Tim gets on? Because you'll be able to ask Tim all kinds of questions once he gets started. Okay, we are experiencing a problem with Tim. It looks like he just got booted off. But okay, so we're going to Q&A right away. And hopefully Tim will get on here in a second. Good evening, Richard. Just joined the meeting. And I'd like to say hello to Candace, Darlene, Christine, Scylla, Frank, Joshua, Anonymous, Christian, CPAL, Anonymous, Reno, Nevada, New York City, New York, Anonymous, Marty, Tracy, Anonymous, Beverly, Dorothy, Eiffel, Richard once again, Name, and Tim is back on. And what I'm going to do is unmute Tim, or actually, and so we actually are all set to go.
Hi, Frank. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay, great. Now, this is the first time I've done a conference call via my smartphone, so I do apologize to the audience. There was some beginning technical difficulties, but it looks like that we've resolved those.
Okay, yeah, we're doing quite well. We've got people starting to stream in, and let me see if I can find you again. Yeah, Tim, you're all set to go.
Okay, I guess just a basic background of myself. I am former U.S. military. I have a background, just a basic background in physics and in physiology and also engineering. I'm not a physicist, I'm not a scientist, and I'm not a full-fledged engineer. But I do have a basic grasp of all the principles with regards to those basic lines of work with regards to things that I've done in the past. When we had a basic discussion, I know there's a lot of questions with regards to voice-to-skull technology. Would you like me to make a few comments on that, or?
Yes, that'd be great. there are many who are afflicted with voice to skull. Some are afflicted with gang stalking. Many are afflicted with both. And sadly, we've had too many pass away. So that would be fantastic. Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I agree, Frank. And I've been afflicted with that sort of thing for numerous years. And I think if you are a TI, and I'd like to say, at least to the TI community, I'm not on my game right now. I'm experiencing chemical attacks. I'm experiencing direct energy weapons, along with all the harassment in the community, being followed, etc. With that said, I think it's important for anyone that's going through voice to skull to have a basic understanding of how radio frequencies work, how that can be encoded with information. I would encourage everyone that's being gang stalked that might be having a problem with voice to skull to try to understand the basic physics and science that might be being used against you. One basic way to kind of understand that is I recently had a hearing test, right? And we've all been through a standard hearing test where you put in a booth and certain tones are sent to your eardrums through headphones. You push the button when you hear the tones, etc. At the end of that hearing test, I had something put on the back of my skull which created tones in my ear remotely without having the headset on. So what is... Go ahead.
You had some background noise. I just wanted to make sure that was... You're all set.
Okay. So once again, I had a headset put on the back of my skull, which transferred sound through reverberation to my inner ear. So as a scientific, from a scientific standpoint, how does that work? Okay. So there's something like a microphone that's attached to the back of my skull, and through reverberation, you got to remember that the skull is a solid object and can transfer sound waves, right? So the apparatus that was on the back of my skull generated sound waves. It wasn't voice to skull, but it was skull to tone. So it reverberated through my cranium and created a vibration which my eardrums could pick up and create different tones. Now, if you understand how sound waves can be encoded and how they work, I could basically be sitting out in a car. I could be sitting out this. We don't know if this is coming from satellites or from cell phone towers, but I can generate a tone that would vibrate the back of your skull, and that sound wave would be transferred through the solid structure of your skull to vibrate the inner ear. Now, how does the inner ear work? It's basically a bunch of bones that are suspended in a way that will vibrate to create tones which essentially your brain can pick up on. So with regards to the science behind voice to skull, I actually had it done to me in a hearing test. So what's to say that a sound wave couldn't come through your building, vibrate the back of your skull to where I could add basically any sort of voice that I wanted to try and torment you, to try and basically terrorize you. So does that make sense on your side?
Yes, sir. It certainly does. Would you like to continue because you have a question already from Michael? Would you like to take that question now?
Yeah, I'll fill that, sure.
Okay. Okay, Michael, you should be unmuted. Go ahead, Mike. Okay, apparently Mike has stepped away from his mic.
Okay.
But we have another question from Anonymous. So go right ahead, Anonymous.
Yes, you mentioned that when you were in the hearing booth, you had something attached to the back of your head. How was it attached to the back of your head?
Okay, this was think of it just like, and this was years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago. Think of it sort of like an old Walkman earphones that were attached to the back of my skull. It just fit on the back of my skull, and it could send tones to the right side of my ear, and it could also send tones to the left side of my ear. And what they were checking for, because I'm ex-military, is tinnitus. It was just they're just basically sending these tones. There was a pad on the right side, and there was a pad on the left side of my skull, which was attached, in layman's terms, by basically a kind of a headset that fit the back of my head. And they repeated the same exact tones that they had done in the previous normal hearing test, but they were just vibrating the back of my skull, which through reverberation, the sound waves transferred from my skull into my inner ear, whether that be on the right side or on the left side. They were basically doing the same exact hearing test, but they were doing it through what the TI community would be called voice to skull, which this was vibrating my skull to create tones in my inner ear.
Okay, so they did it locally instead of remotely.
Correctly, and what you could think of, if you understand how wavelengths work, how even how your radio picks up and how frequencies are sent. If I could isolate where your head was in a room or anywhere else, I could remotely send those vibrations to the back of your skull, which would initiate a tone or the sense of speech, because your inner ear is picking up on the vibration which is being transferred through your skull into your inner ear. Now, think of it like a bell, right? There has to be energy and force. Energy and force can create work, right? So my hand is the energy and the force. I strike a bell. That bell reverberates, right? Creating a tone which is focused through the shape of the bell, okay? So think of the bell sort of as your skull. If it's reverberated, if certain sound waves are sent into that, it can create sound in your inner ear. Like I said, I'm not on my best game. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, that answered it perfectly. Thank you. Hey, Frank.
Hi, how you doing? I'd like to say, from my point of view, that this is an entirely different form of hearing test, because the hearing tests that I'm familiar with use standard headphones. So I would say that this is definitely something different. This resembles or emulates Pat Flanagan's neurophone. And that was invented in the 50s by Pat Flanagan when he was in high school. So I believe they are using bone conduction. Am I correct, Tim?
Yeah, and bone conduction would be a more scientific term. Probably reverberation would be a basic term. Like I said, I'm not on my game, but absolutely the same scientific principles are basically being used.
Okay. Let me see. We have another gentleman. Okay. He actually knocked off. So you are free to elaborate, continue on with the topic that you are currently involved in, or move on to something else. So feel free.
Well, first I'd like to say out to the TI community that what we're going through is absolutely heinous. I don't know if because I'm a veteran or it's very important that the TI community that there's basically a huge gap with regards to the information that they have against their perpetrators and the information that's being put out against them. It's an imbalance of power. Like we all know, information is power. there's been such a smear campaign put out against me that basically everywhere I go, people hate me, and that can be very dangerous with regards to you not knowing that people hate you and that they're conspiring against you to basically either hurt you, poison you, destroy your life. So I think it's important that people understand that if they are a TI, that there is basically a conspiracy going on around you. You might not be aware of that. And to understand, don't tell anyone anything personal about yourself, where you're going, where you'll be, what you do for a living, because these will all be used to create a smear campaign to basically destroy you. I'm one of the TIs that have surveillance planes. I've had helicopters. I'm being literally followed everywhere I go. And I guess one thing I could offer to the community with regards to counter surveillance or picking up on surveillance is what's called TED. They teach that to military and to private investigators, something like that. And it's an acronym, TEDD, and what it stands for is timing, environment, demeanor, and distance. So, for example, when I walk outside, there are several cars that are working in timing. Okay, the environment is generally the same, basically wherever I live. But more importantly, the demeanor of the vehicles that are following me. A lot of the low-level perps have some sort of training, but they're working in an overt manner, which means that they want me to know that I'm being watched, surveilled, basically 24/7 a day. The problem that the TI community has is usually you could just blow town, and the distance, time and distance would put you at an advantage with regards to your pursuers, where this is a systemic problem that basically happens in the majority of the communities that I've been to where it makes it very, very difficult. I can't work. I've lost, my family ties, my friends. They've sabotaged my vehicles. I'm being poisoned. It's just unreal. So if you think you might be a TI, if you are a TI, please practice situational awareness. Be aware of your surroundings. Look for something that's out, not in the social norm of where you're living, to determine if you're being followed. I don't know if that helps any of the listeners, if they already are aware of that, but
I think that it does, and I will tell you that many of these people, myself, I am not, but many people are gang-stalked by many individuals, and they have what is known as street theater, which I'm sure you've heard of, and they're terrorized by this. And I've discussed with you several avenues, but this is something that is very real, and the name gang stalking was actually created by the United States government in the early to mid-50s, I believe, right before the money was allocated to Project MK Ultra, which was in 1953. So we have one question for you from Richard from North Carolina. And go ahead, Richard.
Okay.
Richard, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, well, hi, guys. I just wanted to come in a minute and let the gentleman know how much we appreciate him coming on and sharing. I wanted to add to the vibrating head piece that he was referring to. This was something that was developed by the military to mainly keep people from cheating on their hearing test. And the vibration is much easier for them to track since they're the one imposing the vibration that creates the signal or sound in your eardrum. So it makes it a little bit harder for guys to come in and say, no, I didn't hear that, and receive them through checks for their loss of hearing. But also we have 5 other than myself, which is 6 tonight, that are doing some reverse engineering on the gang stalkers. We're doing some gang stalking ourselves. We're using triangulation, time, and distance, as he says, and location to track these guys and run some of these guys down tonight. And, well, we're going to stop some of my targeting till at least after the first, so I can enjoy me a big pot of black-eyed peas without feeling sick. They've hit me really bad the last few days, so we got us a little crowd out here tonight, getting back at them a little bit, the boots on the ground, and slowing down some of their electronics too, because most of their electronics around myself are mobile, as he was saying, the mobile head remote thing you can do from a distance. So I wanted to thank him, and you guys have a good evening. We'll be listening in.
Okay, thank you, Richard. We have many people that are interested in what Tim has to say. He's been honorably discharged from the United States military, and he has insights. You've heard one of the first. When you get an Army or military hearing test, it is actually done with bone conduction. Now, this is something new to us. I have had myself very recently an audiology exam, and that was done, as I say, with headphones. So this is something that is totally new, and there are several other topics we discussed that are very new to me. So when you are speaking, don't feel that you are leaving out something because it's something that we know. Just go along as we know nothing. That's the best way to handle it. So go ahead, Tim.
Okay, and I wanted to thank, I think the caller's name, and I do apologize, I'm under a great deal of stress right now. I think his name was Frank, and absolutely that was what the technology was developed for, is to counteract someone just memorizing the tones that were given to them and then trying to fake the test. I'd like to add that I suffer from this greatly. I would have 3 or 4 characters in the, let's say, the communications that never existed in my mind that would work in shifts and just horribly interrogate me. But there are some countermeasures. One being sweeping for these frequencies, determining where they're emanating from, and then going after that. 2, if they are radio frequencies, is to actually use a radio frequency jammer, right? So to actually electronically jam these signals from entering into your personal space, i.e. your house, your car, or whatever. And third, a third countermeasure would be to nullify the actual sound waves themselves by picking up an iPod, putting in the headphones, and then basically, for lack of a better term, overcoming the negative information that's entering into your brain. A third one that I've used in a pinch is you can, and this might sound stupid, you can actually fill your eardrums with a little bit of water, which will kind of deflect the actual sound waves. But determining where, if you have the equipment, you can determine where these frequencies are coming from. Number 2, you can have what's called an RF jammer, which is a radio frequency jamming device to jam the signals. Number 3 would be to use, positive sound waves to counteract what you're hearing. If I would have done that years ago, I wouldn't be where I'm at, because, obviously, if you're hearing voices that shouldn't be there, they can be very manipulative. They can be terrifying, and they can absolutely change your mindset. So basically the 3 things that I described are effective means in countering V2K.
Okay, Tim, you've come up with a lot of very interesting ideas. Now, we are, as a group, are not familiar at all with military procedure to date. And you are actually fresh out of the military, and you seem to have been taught many skills when encountering this type of attack. Could you elaborate on that?
Okay, Frank, I've been out of the military for quite some time. I don't have any formal training from the military with regards to counterintelligence or anything like that. And I think if we keep pushing the narrative that I was trained in this in the military, it could cause me some serious problems. I'm just going on, my basic common sense, my study in physics, being just a basic foot soldier in the military, and having some basic understanding on how radio frequencies work, how physics work, my small background in physiology. It's so shocking what's going on that it's difficult to kind of understand. But I want people to understand that we live in a very basically evil world, and it's unfortunate. But and I'm sorry, I'm starting to stray. What was your question again?
I wanted to see if you could delve into military type procedures when I know that you've been taught procedures when you are entering an area, we'll say, and you're setting up camp. You test for frequencies and whatnot. These things you have told me already, and the procedures that you used. And I think that it was relative to your first comments. And I believe that was an acronym for what you actually do. But we have a question from Jesse Call.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jesse.
Hey, Tim.
Hello.
My name is Jesse.
Hi, Jesse.
I don't think we've met before, but it's been an honor. I got on the call late just to hear your voice and tell your experience.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, good to hear from you. So, can I ask you, what branch of the military were you in?
The Army.
And I heard you say intelligence. Did you do intelligence?
No, that's a negative. That's why I didn't want Frank to keep pushing my military background, because I was just a normal soldier.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, so we will refer to Tim as a soldier who was honorably discharged, and whatever information he provides, that's where we'll leave it. Go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah, very good instruction. Thank you, Frank. So I've been around the community for just a little while, a little over a year and a half, and I was a whistleblower from back in 1997, actually. So it's been almost 24 years. And so I understand the landscape. I understand your hesitation to talk about certain things. You don't always know. I understand how you're feeling right now too. I get that. So anyway, I guess I don't have a question so much as I empathize very much, Tim.
Well, thank you for your kind words, sir. And with regards to, I'm currently surrounded. I understand I'm under nefarious surveillance. I understand that I could be talking to someone that is a gang stalker. I understand. No disrespect meant. It's just I have to try and protect myself the best way that I can, while trying to provide some sort of assistance to the people that are afflicted with this. This is, it's by the time you figure out it's going on, it's probably your reputation has been destroyed to the point where it's I can't make a living. I'm basically almost homeless. I've moved like 20 times to try and get away with this. It follows me everywhere I go. But what I would suggest that for the TIs, if they use some sort of situational awareness, if you see.
Sorry about that. It's my mic. Go ahead.
If you do think that you're a TI using some common sense, and if the people around me weren't telling me that I was crazy, and I used my own the eyes that God gave me and the ears that God gave me to try and disseminate the reality of what's going on around me, I would have been just fine. So be aware that people that are close to you might be trying to gaslight you, trying to take advantage of you, steer you in the wrong direction, because what they're doing is they're trying to cover up their own bad deeds. And some basic counter surveillance would push a lot of these low-level perps off of you, probably. Some of these guys have some really good tradecraft and skill sets, so that's something else.
Okay, Tim, I guess what I would like to say is that I guess we want to hear your own experiences. How many years has that spanned?
Roughly about a decade.
Okay, so you must have had a lot of harrowing experiences and times when you wished that you knew about the community. And I am very happy to have you as a member of the community now in Targeted Massachusetts and the Allen Institute. And very, very pleased. And if you'd like to further elaborate, or whether you would like to end your discussion, that is totally up to you.
I can, like, there's I'm not sure if I should go into these sort of things, but there's been a lot of questions in the TI community to where you'll think of something and then something happens. That's basically happened to me for quite some time. There's some questions with regards, at least to the sciences, if a brain could be read, or the electrical signals with regards to what's going on in the brain could be measured. And I don't like to talk in theory with regards to these points. If you understand a little bit about basic human physiology, we are electronic beings, whether that be your basic thinking. Your brain sends an electrical signal through the synapses in your brain that travels down the back of your neck into your body, through to your nerve endings or whatever, to have your fingers move, your eyes blink, to have basic movement. Now, if you want to discuss, you have to understand kind of the physics with regards to electricity. Electricity and magnetism, or magnetic force and electricity, are the exact same force, right? A good example of this is if you took a bar magnet back in high school and your science teacher had you spread iron shavings around that magnet, what you would see with regards to that is the electrical force and the magnetic force creating a field around that magnet. Okay, so all electrical impulses have an electronic and a magnetic force. An easy way to describe this is, can I peer into a human's brain? Well, when they take an MRI, that's called magnetic resonance imaging. Okay, so what I'm trying to describe is the electronic and magnetic force that's inside of your brain creates a magnetic or electrical resonance, right? Which can be measured by certain equipment. An MRI would be one. So it's theoretically possible that there could be equipment to read a human's brain. They would just be picking up on the electronic wavelengths that are inside of a human's mind. Another way to look at this is how scientists they put a cap over your head with 500 different electrodes, right? And these are designed to detect the electromagnetic resonance or field that's created from certain parts of an individual's brain. So how do I map the brain, right? I'll set you in front of a TV. I'll show you a picture of a bird. Your brain fires, and I measure that. Then I show you a picture of a car. Your brain fires, and then I measure that electronically, and then I store that information, and then I put in front of you a certain. I ran to the store. All these electronical firings in your brain can be measured. Does that make any sense at all to you guys?
Well, they can't talk to you actually.
Okay, does that make sense to you?
Oh yes, they can't speak to you until they enter the queue, and they can do it very easily.
Okay.
What I would like to say is that's right on, and the ABC, all the acronym people like the FBI especially, have been lying to us, because in the 80s, the FBI did a documentary that made public the fact that they were doing actually brain fingerprinting, they called it back then. And that was the most effective way for them to tell if someone was lying. And the way they would do it was they would put up pictures of the crime scene in front of the perpetrator, or whomever they thought was the perpetrator, and watch his reaction to that. And this led to lowercase f, capital M, capital R, capital I, fMRI, which is used in conjunction, I believe, with the delivery system that comes to us, along with this first very primitive form of what we endure on a daily basis. And this is probably, I would have to say, what we are enduring, simply because they seem to run a pattern of a lie detector test. This is one of their skits where they put together questions, they ask you questions, and they say, oh, you're lying. And then they say, oh, well, he's telling the truth. So I think this is incorporated. Any comments on that?
Well, I can comment on the technology involved and kind of give a brief explanation on how it works. And you're absolutely right, Frank. They can flash an image in front of you, let's say on a computer screen or on a TV screen, and with the proper optics and for lack of a better term, measuring systems, they can see what your reaction is kind of in real time before you've actually realized that the picture has even come up on the screen. And the science behind that is that light travels at the speed, obviously, of light. And before it actually comes up on the picture screen or on the TV or however they're displaying that to you, your subconscious mind has already reacted to whatever they're trying to figure out you might have been involved in subconsciously, and that can be measured. So I saw the same documentary, but I can back you up on that's absolutely accurate. And that's another rudimentary form of reading someone's mind.
It certainly is. And with more clinical studies, they have developed this into exactly just that, reading minds. And the general public has been exposed to many of these documentaries. They show up on 60 Minutes. They show up everywhere. A very distinguished part of the community, Dr. Matthew Arnegard, was on television going over the various points himself. So we have the fact that it is actually getting out there. Okay, we have Christian Bloomer who would like to ask you a question.
All right.
Go ahead, Chris.
Hi, Frank. Hi, Jim.
Hi, how you doing?
All
Hello.
right. I seen your email, Frank. I totally agree with the brain fingerprinting. I personally believe they're doing research using us as guinea pigs with the possibility of making a supercomputer to observe brain resonance frequencies that resonated off our gray matter, and that the brain has different sections and areas, and that people can think are, the brain has a subconscious and a conscious component to it, and it resonates, I guess, for general frequencies which are being read. My personal situation is that they talk through other people. I hear their same accent, like how that person talks, but in reality, it's the perpetrators using other gray matter to make me, for the longest time. And what happened is why I was labeled schizoaffective is I could not figure out why people were with Y2K technology communicating. What I said at the time was telepathically, but now, learning, getting involved with the TI community, I've learned that there's other people that experience, and it sounds like to me that there's a variety of different methods, and that they hire psychologists, that people with doctorates in psychology to make it set a stage of confusion, and for the purpose so people their credibility is shot, because in reality it's very hard to explain to somebody that you have perpetrators following you. I mean, that sounds like a typical schizophrenic or drug-induced psychosis type of paranoia, and when you try to explain it, you get nervous because we've been trained through just in civilization or society that you're not allowed to talk about a paranoia type and schizophrenic type of episodes without being labeled crazy. And I believe that they purposely hire and set a stage of confusion. My personal
issue. Do you have a direct question for Tim? Because that's what we're looking for, direct questions about what he has been speaking of. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, Frank. I guess the question would be, do you? So you said that that you believe that sound waves. I got a little confused with sound waves and just frequencies. Can you explain like how they're using sound waves without like other people hearing that sound wave?
That's a very good question, Chris. Why don't we let him answer that?
Thank you, Chris. And like I said, guys, I'm not on the top of my game. I feel for your brother. Let me try to explain that to you in the most comprehensive manner that I can. Number one, the technology behind what you're hearing could, only in theory, right, could possibly be voice cloning. Okay? So it's a form of biometric technology, biometric being the body and metric being the measuring system. A very simple way of looking at biometrics is your fingerprint, right? So each person's fingerprint is different from the other. Same for your voice. If I have a 5 or 10 minute clip, it's one of the reasons why I was reluctant to come on this show, is I can now create what's called a voice print. Okay? If I have a longer conversation, I can now, through computing power, have your intonations, how you speak, the mannerisms that you use, and then I can use voice to skull to create what's called in the psychiatry world familiar voices, right? So basically, I can record the conversation of your family members, and this has been used on me, and it's been used on my family numerous times. If you don't understand the technology behind it, it can absolutely freak you out, send you to the mental hospital, and what they're going to say is that you have schizophrenia because you're suffering from what's called familiar voices. You shouldn't be hearing voices of people that are familiar to you. So once again, sound waves that are reverberated through your skull, which stimulate the vibration in your eardrums, creating a voice. And if I'm sending a radio frequency with voice cloning technology, I can basically talk into a microphone and make it sound like anyone I want.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. We have Kevin up next with a question. Go ahead, Kevin.
Hi, Tim. First off, I want to say thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir.
And I got a question for you. Have you ever been enrolled in the VA healthcare system?
What would be the purpose of that question?
You're a veteran, so I was just wondering, have you ever been enrolled in the VA healthcare system?
I'd rather not comment.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Thank you.
Okay. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Kevin. Tim is under a situation where his anonymity is very important to him. He does not want to be totally found out. He is just becoming involved in the community. And trust is an issue with a brand new TI to the community. And for him to come on the show tonight and share is extraordinary. And again, I reiterate, thank you very much for serving your country. Go ahead, Tim.
Not a problem, Frank. And I'd like to point out a couple other ways that someone could hear voices. And I'll keep it to the basics, right? These gang stalkers seem to have the ability to break into people's homes, break into vehicles, without which, you got to give it to them. They have a certain skill set and some tradecraft. But with that said, how can I make someone hear voices, like let's say through your radio or even driving down the road? Another way to do that would be to reverse the wiring in a speaker, right? Change the positive to a negative, or vice versa. Now that creates a microphone instead of basically a speaker, to where if I send a frequency through that, then I could basically speak to you in your car, in your home. And that's another way to look at it. Also, I could hide a Bluetooth speaker that you were not aware of. If you were an older person, let's say in your 70s and 80s, and I was one of these low-level perps, I broke into your home, I installed some sort of a speaker in your home, I could talk to you through my cell phone and terrorize you, where if you didn't understand that technology existed, I could basically terrorize an older person. I can also, and most people realize this, I can cast basically whatever thing that I would want to, that I might know about you, that might make you uncomfortable on your TV from a distance without you knowing it. So I have Uber drivers, I have Lyft drivers. When I try to drive anywhere, they play music that will try to upset my mindset, cause me further stress, let me know that I'm under surveillance. So these are some of the tactics that could be used with regards to hearing voices and upsetting someone else's mindset.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kevin and Tim. We have Joshua who would like to ask you a question.
Okay.
Go ahead, Joshua.
Joshua, this is Olga Kaminsky. How are you? Tim, I have a question for you. I had been attacked in my throat most of the time, and I was wondering, why will they do that? What's the purpose of it?
Okay, can you explain to me what you mean by attacked?
Attacked, they lacked a frequency in my throat.
Okay, is that causing any sort of speech to come out? Because that's where your voice box is, right? That's where speech is. That's where speech is originated in your larynx, correct? So, are they the only thing that I could try and think of, if they would be sending a frequency to try to make you create some sort of a sound? Would that be accurate?
I have no idea, but I have been attacked a lot in my throat, right in my larynx.
Okay, what sort of symptoms are? How do you know it's being attacked? Is there pain in the area? Is there?
It's pain, and also I can feel it. Pressure, and also redness.
Yeah, I'm sorry, ma'am. I would not know. The only thing that I can think of is that they were trying to create some sort of a vibration or sound with regards to your larynx. I'm sorry that that's happening to you. I don't know why. That's never happened to me. What I can say is, when I'm hit by directed energy, it's usually in my back, and it can be extremely painful.
Yeah, it is painful. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. What I would like to say a little bit about what Olga asked was the fact that this is the beginning of forced speech. It happens normally because the perps actually increase your blood pressure or flow to the mouth area, and you feel that your tongue or lips may be throbbing a little bit, and the perps take advantage of this by watching your mouth and actually inserting a word right there. And that is the beginning of forced speech, and I'm not going to get into it because Tim is our guest tonight, and we can go into that at any time. Go ahead, Tim.
No, I thank you for shedding some light on that. I was kind of struggling to think, and that's sort of what I was thinking is if I can vibrate your voice box, then I can make sounds come out of your mouth, sort of type thing. It's so crazy, and that's how it's set up to where if a TI wants to try to get some help from family, friends, coworkers, etc., that they sound so crazy that people that are not aware of what's going on think you are crazy. And that's very important. I think it's an important point for TIs to remember to don't let it get as bad as it's gotten for me. Number one, stand up for yourself, inform yourself, and document what's going on around you. If you think you're being followed, go get a camera from Walmart. They're like $100 if you still have the ability to work, and start documenting some of the demeanor, some of the people that are following you. Law enforcement works not on rumors, but they work on evidence. So it's, even if you don't feel like you're going to get a fair shake, at least you could start stacking up some police reports with regards to you being followed. If you think your house has been broken into, report it. Have a police report. So if you are in a situation where you feel like you're being stalked and that your life is in safety or your life is in danger, that you have the legal right to defend yourself, not to be a TI where you have zero proof and you just go off and hurt someone to where it's going to be negatively affected on you. So I think that's important for TIs to understand that. Try and document it. Make police reports, even if you feel like it's not a fair shake, you're not being taken seriously. Withhold the information like hearing voices or something like that to what is the brass taxes of what's happening. Hey, someone's been in my house, there's been things moved around, they broke in without making forced entry. I need to document this. I think that's a positive way to try to defend yourself, to where if you are in fear of your life, you could rightfully defend yourself without having no evidence of what's been going on.
Okay, thank you, Tim. We have Gwen. She would like to ask you a question. Go ahead, Gwen.
Hi, you were talking about forced speech. They do this thing with my lips. It's like they're tingling or they're quaking. Also, the voices are projected in the air. I get synthetic telepathy, and also I can hear it like outside, like it's projected towards coming from the closet or coming from the window or coming from even like next door or outside. So is that satellite or do they just have sensors throughout the house? How does that work?
Okay, I'll try to answer this the best that I can. Could it be done from a satellite? Could it be done through a cell phone tower? Absolutely. The basic scientifics on acoustics with regards to sending a sound directly to a person where they're in their home. It would be more likely, because these people have, and they've done it to me numerous times, broke into my house without me knowing, installed surveillance devices, etc., that I can set up an acoustic system to where, let's say I had a small hidden speaker in your closet, for say, I could send a tone through that to make you perceive sound, actual sound that's coming from your closet. Then I can hit a speaker that's in your bathroom. I can hit a speaker that's above you. I can hit a speaker that's at your front door, etc. And this has been used in advanced forms of interrogation and torture. It doesn't take very long for someone to hear voices that are seemingly imperceivable, coming from every angle, and that can be done in a nefarious and an interrogation or intimidating type of way, to where someone can lose their marbles because you don't know where it's coming from. It's coming from different angles. These are the basis. Could it become done from a satellite or a cell phone tower? I mean, our phones and our tablets, our devices speak constantly to cell phone towers and to satellites. So is that possible? Yes. But one form, and I think it's important if you are going through that to understand the basics of the technology, is if I can break into your house and install a surveillance device, a camera, i.e., a listening device that you can't see, I could do the same with acoustics with regards to sending sounds from all around your apartment or your home. I hope that answers your question and might help.
Yes. I'm sorry, I forgot what I was going to say. I'm sorry, I'm
That's okay, Gwen. It happens to us all.
Just remember that these forces, if you are being gang stalked, how does science say it? That there has to be a force that's acted on against an object to put it into motion. Same sort of thing with radio frequencies. A basic example is that if a golf ball is sitting on a fairway, until a force is acted against that golf ball, it'll sit there until it disintegrates, right? So these sounds that you're hearing have energy, and they have force, and they have the ability to do work. That's the basic science behind it. So your ears... Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I just remembered.
I understand what you're struggling through, so if you'd like to ask another question or a comment, I'm right here for you.
Okay, they can do footsteps like walking above me when there's no one else here, stuff like that. Yeah, sound, popping noise, and yeah. I'm also under our remote neural monitoring.
Yes, it's a sad state of affairs, and as I described earlier in the program, your brain gives off, by its very nature, an electromagnetic field that could be measured. So the science behind monitoring someone's brain, we can look just at a MRI, which is in your doctor's office, which basically is taking a picture of the magnetic resonance of the inside of your brain. So by basic science, we know this is possible. I've been in a situation where I've heard voices from all around my room, and I struggled to try to understand what was going on. Through my study of advanced acoustics, this can be done. So the basic is it coming from a satellite? I'm not sure, but the easiest way to do that would be to install hidden speakers around someone's home that could be turned on or off, and send sounds through them.
I guess the reason why I mentioned satellite because, like they have blown out I had about 4 pairs of bone conducting headphones, and they have blown them out while I was wearing them. They can mess with the electronics, and yeah. And I get microwaves constantly.
I'm right here with you. Like I said, I'm not a scientist. I do have a little bit of a background. But what I'd like to add is how you perceive sound is if it's coming from the right side of, if the sound waves are coming from the right side of your body, how you calculate and determine where a sound is coming from is the time delay from when it hits your eardrums in your right ear to your left ear. It's very minute, but that's how you perceive where a sound is coming from. I've done a lot of underwater work, right, to where sound does not have the same characteristics underwater, that it travels at much faster speeds. So your perception of where the sound is coming from is basically null and void because it's so quick between your right ear and your left ear, you have no perception of sound. So if someone was to set up that sort of a kind of a torture device, it would be trying to throw off your perception of where the sound would be coming from. And that can be done by advanced acoustics and by setting up different speakers in different locations in someone's home.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I hope that helps.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. We have Richard once again from North Carolina, and he just exited for some reason. He might have fallen off. Richard, if you got knocked off of that, I encourage you to please get back in the queue. Okay, we have Anonymous would like to ask you a question.
All right.
He had just mentioned sort of like installing stuff around our home. This is not related to acoustics. I don't know if he can help, but I had something like that where it was like a proverbial kind of shock collar that if I went near they drove me out of my home, and when I went there, they were targeting me, and I was getting hit with something, and I would drop to my knees, and I couldn't even enter my own yard.
Anonymous, do you have a question for Tim?
Is that me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I would enter my yard, and it was like what you were saying, but this isn't audio. I don't know if you can help with that. It's more like you get like shocked, like a weapon shocking you if you enter your own yard even. You were saying something about devices for sound being around. Could there be something like that for something else that's like almost shocking your insides?
Yeah, and I have to temper what I say with my own quality of life, and I think all TIs struggle with that. And ma'am, I'd like you to know that there are good people still in the world. No matter what anyone says about me, I'd like to try and think that I am a good person. That we're all under really bad situations. I'm currently experiencing what you're talking about, and in the TI community, that's called a directed energy weapon, and that's why I encourage people to study frequencies, how they are generated, how that they work in our environment, and they could very easily set up a system to where, and I can't even walk out my front door. I'm either attacked by chemicals or I'm attacked sometimes by both. And
That's
I can
happening to me, and I think the chemical component has a reasoning with that other component, because other people can enter my yard, but I can't, and I don't know if it's the chemicals they're putting on me that makes it able for them to, that's one of the things I've been struggling with and trying to figure out. What that makes it where they can shock me and not other people entering the yard, or is it something they're just aiming directly at me from some other source? I don't know, and I want to go home.
Well, ma'am, unfortunately, once these people have set up those sort of devices in your home, especially if you're, I'm fortunate that I don't have a mortgage. I don't have $100,000 put into a property, but you would have to speak with your banker or to get some good advice. You might want to put that place up for sale and to move into it if you have any family or friends. What they're using, I could take a picture and float it online. Right now on my curtains, there's about 25 small little pinpoint holes where something has pierced through the curtains, and what I can say with regards to the directed energy weapons and the chemical weapons is they're very precise to where I could tag you standing right next to another person. A lot of them have what you call, like if you had a firearm and you had a laser on that, that's how precise the directed energy weapons and the chemical weapons can get. I've walked out of my apartment, turned around, just doing nothing but try to go to work, and being hit by the direct energy weapons to where, and I'm a grown man, curled up in the fetal position for 6 or 7 hours and thought I was going to die. So, and I was standing right next to a person that was seemingly unaffected. So the directed energy weapons to where the beam could be about the size of a pencil.
Do you also experience where they like to do some sort of like ping off of something, a noise to let you know they're there or before they're going to do it, like a pop noise? Sometimes.
No, but what I could suggest is that's probably more of a chemical attack. I've been chased around going through bushes and stuff, and I've talked to other people that have experienced this, is where they'll hear a kind of a popping or noise like that, and that's generally from what I've been experiencing a chemical attack, and I'm currently going through both. I'm a hard worker. Obviously, I hope that the audience can see that I'm not an idiot. I could hold a job, but I can't go outside without getting sick. So I feel for you. If you think that there's nefarious stuff going on, which nefarious basically means bad intentions, if you think that's going on at your house, if it's a rental property, I would suggest that you try to move in with family or friends to where they're probably not going to do that if you have some sort of backup with regards to what's going on.
I still have the house. It's mine, but they won't let me back in it. They keep doing that, and I'm sort of staying with someone at the moment. But yeah, but they do the same sort of thing. If I leave the house, they hit me with chemicals.
Anonymous, can I make a suggestion? Can you call me at 508-857-8334 after 1 p.m. tomorrow?
Okay.
And we can talk. Okay?
All right.
Thank you so much. Okay, we have Richard from North Carolina once again. Go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, I wanted to take a minute to connect with Tim and tell him also thank you for your service too. And I'm a screamer with feathers is what I'm made up of. But anyway, wanted to share my number with you, Tim. I'm a veteran too, and maybe we can get together sometime and talk a little about some of the stuff going on. I do hope the VA is treating you fair. I wanted to also say that you are pretty much on the money as far as a lot of this stuff, but I don't know, some of the TIs, they seem to get different things. It's a little bit confusing. So my number is 919-252-1103. So give me a call sometime.
Well,
All right.
hello? Hey, Richard?
Yes, sir.
I don't have a pen to write that down. Perhaps,
okay.
I'm tracking exactly when you're talking about the Screaming Feathers.
Yes,
and
sir.
I appreciate your service, brother, and I know some other Screaming Feathers that are in our situation. So I'm scrambling to try and find a pen. If Frank, if you're there, I'm sure you're recording this. If I could get Richard's number at a different time, that would be great.
I'd like to talk to you tomorrow anyway, if you have the time.
Yeah.
Sure. And both of you, we can have a three-way if you want. You can call me, then I'll connect to Richard. Whatever we decide. Okay, the next question, if you're all through, Richard, is from New York, New York. Go ahead, New York.
Yeah, are you hearing me?
Yes, you're coming in loud and clear, 5 by 5.
Yes, and let me say how much I appreciate you. I am thankful that you have this kind of medium, and I'm listening. This is my second time listening. I started Monday. Tim, I can hear it in his voice that he is most likely a true TI. A lot of people try to pretend to be TIs, but they are not. But, currently in a shelter in New York. I left Maryland, and it was so bad. I've been in the shelter for 2 years. I'm disabled. Now, as Tim, I don't want to keep it long, talking about the various things going on. And so in a room right now, I'm in a hotel room due to the COVID situation. They have relocated the residents. So I think that they come into my room and put up different things in my room when I'm not here. So I'm basically stationed in the room because the people who said that they are resident, but they are not, they come here to violate me. I'll set up various things, take my stuff. And the noise is kind of like what I want to talk about is something like a magnetic sound. And almost every day they have it. Very irritating. I ignore it, and I tell you the truth. How am I getting by? They disabled me. I'm in a wheelchair. Car accident for like 4 years now. I wouldn't imagine that I would be going through this one. The genuine TIs, I really feel for them. And Tim, as I said, I can hear it in your voice. I really feel it for you. That I am learning how to deal with it because I'm a praying person. That is how I am learning to deal with it. You can never deal with it by yourself. Family members, I don't have much support from them. I'm in a wheelchair. I don't feel sorry for myself. It's not good to feel sorry for yourself. You just have to bounce back and find a way how to survive. And currently, like even now, I'm going through this, something like you would have two electrical wires that my brain is like frying. That is what I would like to know. What is that? And a magnetic sound, and I basically know where it's coming from because they put people in rooms close to me. I'm in a single room so that they will use all those things. So I know what directly where it's coming from, whether on the right, the left, or above me.
Ma'am, thank you for your kind comments, and obviously, you can understand that, or it can be perceived that I'm struggling, and I can hear it in your voice also. And I am a Christian. I do believe in God, and if you have some sort of concept of evil, and what evil people like to do to other people, control their life, take away their health, and I'm shocked that the statistics say that 75% of these people that are TIs are women. I mean, how shocking is that? And you being elderly in a wheelchair, and my heart goes out to you. I'll say a prayer for you. I'll try to put out a prayer chain. I've never spoken to anyone in your situation firsthand, and I'm just horrified and shocked. And
it's horrified. And they sabotage my housing, keeping you here, violating discrimination. You never would imagine anybody in my position would be in a shelter where you would have security and all, and the type of violation. I just cannot talk much about it, but it is horrifying. What is keeping me, as I said, is prayer. I don't even trust the thread that makes up somebody's clothes. That is the way that I am right now.
And yes, ma'am, I agree 100% that prayer, faith in God, doing to others how you want to be done to yourself are important. But there's also an aspect, with at least how I perceive how God wants me to act, is to stand up for myself and protect myself against people that want to do me harm. And I think that's very important to have a balance in between the two, faith in God, try to be kind to others. Turning the other cheek is an analogy that a lot of people don't understand because it's been lost through thousands of years. If there's anyone that in your life that can help you, if I can give you any sort of support, even that be moral support, I'd be more than happy to do that.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Ma'am, you can also call me at any time. My name is Frank Allen. My phone number is 508-857-83.
Yes, let me see if I can get it to write it down.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
508-857-8333 after 1 p.m.
8331?
8334.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yes.
Have a good night.
Likewise.
Yes. Okay, next we have Lori would like to ask you a question.
All right.
Go ahead, Lori.
Hi, yes. Are you familiar at all with charged particles and how that works and what I could do to stop that? I'm being hit with everything, but the charged particles, I'm being hit really bad.
Okay, I am familiar with charged particles, subatomic particles, but as I stated in the beginning of the program, I'm really not on my game because I've been basically attacked with chemicals every time I've gone out for weeks now, also with directed energy weapons. With regards to charged particles, what is your question?
Is there anything I can do to stop it, to combat it? I've researched, I'm trying to figure out what to do, because they've even got my car manipulated to where they're being released in the car.
Okay, what I would suggest with regards to shielding is to try and ascertain what sort of waves are coming through. It would probably be some sort of a microwave, which can be shielded by metal, wood, water. Me even speaking of this is I'm trying to figure out what sort of a ridiculous world that I'm living in, that I have to try and help people with shielding, and myself. With regards to shielding, microwaves can, if that's what you're talking about, with regards to charged particles, can be shielded with a certain thickness of metal, wood, and also water.
Okay.
If it is a radio frequency that's coming through that has that's negative, that can be blocked by what's called an RF blocker. You can buy them on eBay for around $200.
Okay.
That's more to the voice to skull. With regards to microwaves, the actual. I mean, look at your microwave in your home. It'll cook a chicken, right? So you would have to have something probably more than a radio frequency blocker. You'd have to have actual shielding for that. If something is happening in your car, can you describe that to me? What, you're hearing voices? You feel sick when you get in your...
I actually have caught, it's crazy. I did security cameras, and I've caught a particle beam coming onto the porch, and I realized it took a while to research, but I realized that what I was seeing as far as inside the home was the particles, and I would hear like a vacuum sound. Whirling sound on, I didn't know where it was coming from. But on my security footage, some of them actually present as kind of a neon color. But they're being released, and I realized some of the entry points of them, and there's a lot of like dust and dirt from where they were coming in at. But in the car, they're actually coming through. There was some things I realized, like my catalyst. I went to check my oil, and my catalyst has been changed. And I started doing research, and I realized that could be, they could change it to where they're coming through the actual car. Underneath the seat of my driver's seat, I went to vacuum out the car, and there was a few new motor pieces, and things had been changed out. And I've literally clipped the wiring to those. My seat actually still functions because none of it was to my seat. It was all new. But there's I don't know exactly where all they're being released, but they're being released from the car.
Okay. With regards to gang stalking, these guys are, and you can read it in their manual, and I can tell you from personal experience, they sabotaged at least 4 of my vehicles. Okay.
Yeah, they're vicious. I mean, it's vicious on every level. Trust me.
And the tactical reason for that is most of the surveillance is done by vehicles, right?
Right.
So I've gotten to the point where I can't have a car. It's impossible for me to have a car unless I put it under 24-hour surveillance, which I don't have the money to do because of my situation.
Right.
So I'm on foot. My best suggestion to you is to put as much surveillance, and not wireless surveillance, right, which can be manipulated, some sort of a closed circuit TV where that can be monitored inside your house on your vehicle. Because they've done it to me to so many. It's much easier to terrorize me and follow me around town when I'm on foot and they're all in their vehicles, right? So that's a basic tactic, is to destroy your modes of transportation to where you can't get anywhere. With regards to a charged particle, a particle that's been worked on or under the influence of some sort of energy, okay? Particles, if you remember science class, the more that you heat up a particle, the more it's agitated, right? So that would be sort of a type of a charged particle. But if you're seeing stuff that, I mean, I remember I went to a psychiatrist and they said, "Are you seeing shadows?" Yeah, well, it was a guy across the street in a car with some sort of a flashlight after I had been drugged. Shining it up against a fence to make me see shadows. So without being there, I really can't say, what you're seeing. All I can say is is God gave you eyes to see and ears to hear.
Exactly, right.
Always trust your instincts. Always trust your instincts and your gut feelings.
Okay.
A lot of this that you could be experiencing are chemical attacks. All right.
Yeah, I'm getting that as well.
I don't want to go into how that's being done because I'm currently in fear for my safety.
That's
but
fine.
The standard procedure for that is to keep yourself clean, change your clothes when you get back into your house, and take a shower. I've been drugged and poisoned so many times. It's unreal. I can't go out. I can't walk to the store because they sabotaged it's like $15,000 worth of cars that have been sabotaged. So, with regards to what sort of forces are coming in your house without being there and without trying to measure it, I don't think I could give you any more clarity.
Okay.
But protect your property by force if necessary.
Okay, I'm trying. It's difficult. It's a long story. It's really difficult. I only realized I was a TI just over 3 months ago. Everything came together. I came across something, and anyways, but it's been happening since at least 2012. But I am doing that. I'm doing a lot of research and just trying to figure things out and deal with it.
Are you feeling sick?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay.
I went and bought things like, seaweed, different vitamins and such. But those, when I went to get those out, I've realized that they've been tampered with.
Yeah, and what I can suggest to you is just recently, I walked to the store, right?
Mm-hmm.
The products that I was picking up when I go back, they're missing from the shelf.
Right. Okay. That's happened to me too.
So, what are the people inside of the store aware of what's going on, and they're scared that I'm going to get sick by buying one of their products, so they're removing that, or are they trying to tell me that I'm not welcome there? It's probably a little bit of both.
Exactly.
If you're shopping, or if you're doing anything in life, try to modulate what you're doing. Don't go anywhere at the same time. Don't shop at the same store. Don't get the same products. Because I've been poisoned before. So,
okay.
If you're going to get that certain type of water at the store, get a different type of water. If you're going to get, you got to switch up what you're doing because you're being watched everything that you do. Unfortunately,
I really am. Yes. Thank you so much, Tim. And thank you for your service.
You're welcome, Mel. I hope that helps.
Thank you. It does. Thank you.
You're not alone.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we have somebody from Monterey. Go ahead, Monterey.
Oh, hi. This is, what did you all decide to call me? Callie or something like that? Callie?
Yeah.
Hi. I don't have a question just yet, but the gentleman that's talking, I keep losing the audio when he's talking, and I can't hear like 3 words at a time. I just want to mention in case anybody else is experiencing that. But what I did hear him say about the holes in your curtains, I have been relegated to homelessness in hotels for, I don't know, over 12 or 13 years, and I noticed those pinpoint holes in drapes as well. But it's only in the drapes that are thicker, like the blackout curtains or the thicker fabrics. And at a hotel, when I started noticing it, I would look to see, like, when is that being done? When is that being done to the drapes? And I checked into this one hotel that had these thick drapes up at the window, and I was up on a higher floor. I wasn't down low. It was a building with, like, I don't know, 6 stories at least, maybe 8 stories, whatever. The point is I was not on the ground level. And so I decided before going to bed the first night to look and see if there were any holes in the drapes. The following day, okay, so there were not. The following day, they were. And it was daylight. It was summertime, so it's not like I didn't see it at night because it was dark. They weren't there the night I checked in the room, and the following morning they were there. And then in my home, they did it in the bedroom drapes. Anything where I think there's no light able to come through, somehow by making those little holes, I think the energy gets through or something is my theory. I don't believe that those holes are created by the wireless frequencies. I believe they actually come in and do it. That's been my experience, and I just didn't know if that would be helpful to you.
Okay, could you, let Tim comment on that, those holes?
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am. Can you hear me clearly now?
Yeah, it's not that I can't hear you. It's like I hear you, and then you go away for 3 words. There's like silence, and then you come back again in my ear. Maybe it's my phone. I mean, it's always something.
No, it's his connection.
Oh, it's his connection? Oh, okay. So I'm missing some of the words that you say. And
has that been that way the whole time, Frank?
Only a word. It's not enough so you can even lose the conversation.
Okay, for me, I miss like 3 words, but I'm still getting the gist of it. And as far as food poisoning, can I ask a quick question that has amped up the last week or 2 for me? Any food that is brought to me, or I haven't been able to walk or get out for a few weeks at all. It's always difficult, but I haven't been able to due to a broken thing in my feet. And my food, whatever I bring home, of course, like you said, they know your routines, they know what you're going to buy. And I'm at a hotel room where I can't cook, so I'm kind of limited on what I'm going to pick. So now they're coming in the room, or whatever's being delivered, somehow they're getting to the stinking food, and it's this plasticky, shiny, thick film of oil on top of all of my food, even a pizza delivery. And when I put it on my fingers and I try to rinse it off with water, it won't rinse off, no matter how much I rub or soap. There's just this residue, and I don't know that it's drugged. They do enough drugging on my body at night, but this is going to be digested in my intestines, in my stomach. And like right now, I'm looking at it, and I'm so hungry. But I'm like, do I just be hungry, or that's the only thing I have? What do I do? I don't know. Do you think it could just be something innocuous, or this is like vamped up? This is last week or 2. It's something new for me, where it's everything in the fridge has this film. And I have eaten a little bit of it, and I don't know maybe why I'm feeling sicker. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, yes, absolutely, ma'am. And once again, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry for what you're going through. I've had the exact same situation. Let's start first with the holes in the drapes. What I can say to you is I've experienced, and I'm currently experiencing the exact same thing. I get to a new place that does not have metal or wooden drapes. I wake up in the morning and I can look up. There's like 25 different holes. What I would suggest is that is some sort of a direct energy weapon. I've also wondered, are these guys coming in my room when I'm out and poking these holes in my drape? So your train of thought is accurate.
Well, they come in while I'm sleeping all the time.
Well, what I can say is if I stand up and I walk, let's say, to the bathroom, my back feels like it's been hit by a baseball bat.
Yep. Yeah, you got it. It's like almost impossible to go anywhere because your back. That's what I'm feeling right now, and I'm laying down. I don't even have to stand up. Yep, that's perfectly put.
While I'm trying to explain this all to you, I was just attacked by chemicals, and now I'm getting hit with direct energy weapons. So if I'm not all I could be to say, just let you guys know that I am struggling also. So me and Frank talked about this, and how you put it is exactly correct. It's the plastic or sort of plastic rubber lining that has the hole in it, but the drapes don't have the hole in it, and the window doesn't have a hole in it.
No. And my holes are tiny, sir. They're like a pin. If you put a sewing pin through the fabric, that's how little the holes are I'm talking that I get. They're tiny, tiny. You can't see them at a distance. Okay.
Mine vary from the size that you're talking to a little bit bigger. What I would suggest to you is that is direct energy weapon, and that's how precise they are, and that's how they can tag you when standing next to someone else. I've actually gone in the grocery.
Right. I follow.
I've been in a grocery store. I'm nervous to talk about. Let's say there's always been boots on the ground. Okay, there's always been people involved, and I can see their laser bouncing off of the glass in the grocery store. And this is when I'm at work. I'm not bothering anyone, and I have to go back to work. to where I'm literally so sick that I can't stand up. Now, now with regards to the food, use your common sense. Use the eyes that you've been given, the ears that you've been given by God.
I'm just so hungry, but okay. Yeah.
I've eaten shit. Excuse me for my language. I've eaten stuff with poison on it because I was so hungry. They've poisoned my clothes.
Oh God, the clothing, it burns to. Yeah, I don't have any clothes to wear. Yeah.
Right now, my only cold weather jacket is completely covered with these toxins to where my bag that I have my clothes in, I put on a shirt and I almost went into shock laying on the ground. So if you think
burned?
your food,
does it burn you? Your clothing, does it burn?
I'm pretty tough. It doesn't. It's an irritant. But I'm switched on enough to where if I feel that, I'll just take it off and try and take a shower. These guys are so bad that they'll break into the hotel room if I'm staying in a hotel and spray it through the ventilation system into my bathroom to where I can't take a shower.
Yeah, if you go, be careful plumbing. They use the plumbing to put gas into the hotel rooms from the bathroom. It makes you so sick, the gas. And also the ventilation. If you have a ventilation, like an air return to suck the humidity out of your bathroom, make sure that opening isn't terribly accessible in a place that isn't visible, because they'll put the gas down in there too. And it's very hard to seal a bathroom off so you don't get sick. It's really hard. I've tried it with tinfoil and everything, just to seal up everything so the gas wouldn't permeate, and I still got sick.
So what you're saying, I'm tracking 100%, and it's just, I mean.
I don't know how you're working. Sir. Can you get on disability?
I've lost 5 jobs in the last year. The last job I was on, I was making $30 an hour, and I was only able to work 3 months until these people were following me around and making me sick to where.
Can you apply for disability?
On what grounds? I mean.
Well, you're ill. You need to go to the doctor. I mean, you can at least try to get disability because it's a long process. I don't want you to end up with no bank account and no money and not able to keep bringing money in. If you start the process with a doctor now, you might see money in a year.
No, and I agree. And while I've tried to get disability, the disability claim, the first time I go out and get a job, that disability claim will be null and void because it's backed by my Social Security number. So
that's not true. That's not true. You can earn up to so much a year and still maintain disability from Social Security.
But not during the process of trying to be granted disability.
I don't know all the details, but
okay, Callie, do you have any more questions? Because we have.
I do, but it sounds like he's on a special topic that he's more of an expert. So I just wanted to talk about the holes in the curtain, really.
Okay,
thank you. And what's on my food, which I think he's telling me don't eat it. It's better to be hungry.
Yeah, I've gone 5, 6, 7 days without eating. I wouldn't suggest that, but I've had to put in my pizza. The best way to do it, ma'am, is to never go to the same place more than a few times, and pick the items directly off the shelf in a random fashion for yourself. Okay?
No, there's just not that many stores open because of COVID. But I know what you're saying is the answer. It's just hard to execute that type of a plan with so many things closed. But thank you.
And with mine, I'm getting sprayed with toxic on the way to try and get the food. They sprayed it on my food on the way home, so just try to adapt and overcome the best that you can, man. And God be with you.
You too, and I'm so sad to hear your story. I don't know. Wow.
Thank you so much, Ellie.
No, thanks for letting me ask and contribute
no
to something.
Problem. Okay, we have Kevin. Go ahead, Kevin.
I just wanted to say something real quick. You were talking about the positive charged particles and everything. it's weird that you said that because I have an air ionic machine in my house, and as soon as you said that, I grabbed it and actually put it right in front of me, and I turned it on, and I actually feel a lot better. That is so weird that you said that. But yeah, so I don't know if you guys know what a ionic air purifier is. Does anybody know what that is?
I think it uses either the positive or negative charge to take impurities out of the air. Is that correct, or?
Right. It'll basically any positively charged particle will become a negative. So, yeah, I actually put it right in front of me, and I actually feel a little bit better. Like I'm not getting hit as hard, but so I do have some questions for you, real quick.
Okay.
What year did you separate the military, and when did your targeting actually begin?
Okay, without going into specifics, I am pre 9/11, but I do believe that I might have had some targeting when I was under the age of 10 with regards to voice to skull, but the targeting has been basically in the last close to a decade. So I had been out for quite some time from the military before, I believe, but a lot of the targeting could have been going on without my knowledge beforehand. But for the last 5 years, it's been basically nonstop.
I agree with you on the the targeting point. I think it actually starts before you're actually aware of it. I think there's a point in time where they actually, everything is just so blatantly obvious that you're actually being targeted. So I think there's a learning curve for them. Basically, they study you and they do all this surveillance on you, and then basically they let you know that you're targeted. Because you just, like you said before, common sense. You just pick up on, things that are going on in your surroundings, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so my next question for you is, why do you think you were targeted? Is there anything you can think of, like why you would actually be targeted?
Very, very good question, sir. And it would be interesting if we had some feedback over a broader spectrum of people and what they think that the reason behind their targeting. From what I understand, it's so pervasive now that someone that has the right connections can basically set you up to be targeted. I think myself, I've seen through a lot of the technology and where the world was going, so I might be I don't want to say dangerous, but I might have a different point of view with regards to the internet and how technology and social media works, where if they were keeping an eye on me, they might realize that I might be a detriment to whatever they're trying to do. I don't really know. Does that make any sense?
You're basically saying that you probably have, there's a lot of different theories you might actually have, but you can't pinpoint one reason why you're being targeted. Okay. All right, so you being a veteran, are you familiar with a bill passed by Congress, H.R. 28? This is the 115th Congress, which is the bill that was passed in 2017-2018, and it was a bill for biological implant tracking for veterans by the Department of Veterans Affairs.
No, I was not aware of that, and thank you very much, sir, for pointing that out. it's unbelievable, and you know, after 9/11, if you do read the Patriot Act, we are on foreign soil. We're not basically on American soil anymore, so all of our intelligence, our law enforcement can be used to bring the average American under surveillance. And you know, I struggle with this. I've traveled without a cell phone, and I've traveled with a cell phone. I mean, I could be wearing a clown suit, and these guys would know where I'm at. Is it because I'm under physical surveillance all the time, or am I chipped? I mean, nowadays you could probably go down to Petco and buy a chip to put in your animal. So, am I surprised that it's shocking to me? Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Right, and I guess just to wrap it up, I just want to say, thank you for your service again.
Thank you, sir.
And yes, you're still a soldier. So thanks for opening up to everybody and telling us your story. We appreciate that.
Well, I thought long and hard. This could be detrimental to me. Obviously,
it won't.
So I take great pleasure in trying to help other people in the situation, and that it's in such a systemic form around America and around the world. I mean, it's just shocking. So thank you for the information with regards to those congressional orders. And if you are a TI, sir, and going through this, God bless you, and trust your instincts, and don't let people around you gaslight you and tell you that what's going on that's obvious to you is not.
Thank you for the advice.
You're welcome, brother.
Thank you, Kevin. You always bring a lot to the table with you. Thank you very much, Kevin. And next we have Ann from Missouri, I believe.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Good evening.
Yeah.
I'm support person Ann. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I also have a disability. I was born with retinitis pigmentosa, and I really do want to help people. Here's what I'm going through, guys. I got to be honest. I know of 4 different individuals that really do need some help right now, and I feel like I'm just small potato, so I'm going to mute.
And send them to me, because
to you.
That's why I'm here. Yeah. Okay. Tim is here for you to ask him a question.
Okay, I think we'll cover that later. I'll just call you maybe tomorrow, Frank.
Go ahead.
It's okay.
Ma'am, go ahead.
Yeah, we'd like to hear.
We'd like to hear you.
We'd both like to hear you.
Hello, Tim.
Go ahead, ma'am.
My name is Ann.
Nice to meet you.
I wish we could meet under better circumstances.
Yeah, I wish so too, ma'am.
All right, now, I am trying to be as tech-savvy as I can be in my condition. And, I mean, if I don't mean to sound all, but being blind and have had prior really bad experiences has made me a little bit less than, good company right now for the holidays. So I'm just not sure what to say, so I don't get everybody real mad right now. Probably just better left unsaid. All right.
Ma'am?
Go ahead.
Yes,
Go ahead.
Yes?
I'm here to try to help you, ma'am. What is your situation, and do you have a question?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't look like there's a way I can turn off this voice-printed stream. I'm totally blind, so people are talking about cameras, and I have people that are in my situation that are blind. I'm very thankful, first of all, for everything that I do have, regardless. But I must tell you that I know of some people in my population that are blind and visually impaired and have other medical conditions, quite honestly, that still have no idea because of their social standpoint what you need to do to become pregnant. If that tells you anything. In other words, they're highly sheltered. So this is just it's not like I can go talk to to any of my blind friends. They wouldn't understand it anyway for so many reasons. And it's that's just where I'm coming from. So I don't know. I'd love to hear more from you. I mean, it's very interesting. The technology. I wanted to go to school for engineering, but, well.
Okay, thank you, Ann. Thank you very much, as always.
You're welcome. Mm-hmm.
Next, from Kelly.
I just have a quick contribution to the young man with the air purifier. Long before I found out I was targeted, I became, this was all set up, I just had no idea. I thought I was a victim of circumstance, but I had an exposure to a very large electromagnetic, like I was sleeping in 89 milligauss. 3 weeks in, I developed seizures, so I had to learn everything about electromagnetic. Knew nothing, didn't even know what put it off. I never noticed a tower in my life. So I had to learn about all that stuff. And it was in the time when people were just starting to talk about these things way back in 92. And so that air purifier that puts out those ions, when it comes to electromagnetic, those are not good. They purify the air, but when you put that particular ion, negative ions are very good for us. I don't remember which ones the air purifiers put out, but the point is they are highly charged particles. So if you've got wireless stuff happening, it's going to amplify it, and it can also make you become sensitized more easily to these things. So I know it made you feel better, but if you have any way to just get out in the fog or get out to the beach, if you can get near a beach or where it's raining, those same ions will be produced by nature and not hurt you. But in your environment, I'd be careful about how you use that thing. I don't know. If it makes you feel better to breathe it, maybe, I don't know, this might sound silly, but just breathe it somewhere remote in a garage or in the closet or something. I know that sounds weird, but I wouldn't be putting those off into your home environment because it'll make it worse. For sure.
Callie, I disagree because the unit puts off negative ions, and it will cancel the positives with charged particles, and it is very, very good. And it puts out ozone, natural ozone, and you can smell it. It smells like you just were near a bolt of lightning.
Right, I know. That's just what somebody that was in the radio industry and in Hawaii that I was hooked up with back then when I was trying to learn everything, they warned me against it. And at the time, so many years ago, they explained it in minute detail so I'd understand. And it made sense because I know positive ions are really good for us and we feel really good around them. At the beach when the waves are crashing or when the fog rolls in or the lightning strikes and it's raining, all those things. This is just what they told me. And then when I became so sensitive, I realized that when I didn't run one of those things with the ionizing part on, I was less sensitive. My brain had become sensitized. That's all. Anyway, just something to think about, if you decide to use it, sir. Maybe just kind of pay attention to any changes that might occur otherwise, besides the feeling good part. That's all, because they were emphatic about it with me. And Frank, I said the same thing as you. Wait, positive ions are really good for us and good for the environment. But apparently when it comes to the frequencies and these sorts of things, it amplifies. I wish I could remember better. It was so long ago. I just quit using them, and I really wanted to use them because I have an airway issue. So, anyway, just wanted to throw that out there because these experts told me that, and I thought I found it to be true with my sensitivity. But anyway, just consider it, I guess. That's all.
Thank you very much, Callie. We're going to Tracy is a very heavily targeted individual. Go ahead.
Started hitting my chest and was having some anxiety. So I'm sorry if that's more information. Tim, first of all, I wanted to say thank you for your service very much. It's appreciated. You're appreciated. I have a military.
You still there, Frank?
Yep, I'm here. We lost Tracy. I'm sure she'll get back on. Right now, this is Vicky. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know a lot of military men complain about this being utilized on them. My father's ex-CID. He's 84. And it's like these shots and everything. Do they think it's aerolized? I mean, how much do you know about it, how they're doing it to us? Because I was listening to Catherine. She does a Solaris report, and she said the person they put in charge of Operation Warp Speed has experience in getting these nanotechnologies for brain interface and brain control. I mean, do you see any relief in the military, any rebellion, or, I mean, how oblivious are they of this, most of the guys?
Ma'am, respectively, I can only speak for myself. Reason being is, I'm not an active duty member of the military anymore. What they know and what they don't, I'm not sure. And I'm very hesitant to everything I say, everything I do in life seems to be twisted. So I would respectfully just kind of decline to answer. What I can say, ma'am, is I know at least a dozen honorably discharged veterans, several of them with distinguished combat records and service to their country that are targets. That's really all I can say with regards to. I can't speak for the military because I'm no longer active duty.
Okay, and you don't converse with active duty people, because I did try to tell my father about this. He's 84 now, a couple years ago, and he just had a meltdown, and I think he saw some incredibly horrific things in the military. He was kind of like the original Rambo, and I think I caused flashbacks. And but the military seems to be involved, and the police are definitely involved. I just keep wondering, can't they see that they're going to turn this crap loose on them? I mean, I just don't understand it.
And that is a good point, ma'am. And there is a reason, unfortunately, why this is being done to a selected group of the population. Whether that's going to be turned on the entire population, I can't say.
If you go look at listen to Klaus Schwab and the Great Reset and Davos and everything, they're openly discussing transhumanism, putting these chips in you, modifying you. They'll admit we're going to turn you into cyborgs. They're not hiding it.
What I would direct your attention to, ma'am, is a program by Elon Musk called Lifelink, and what it is
Neuralink.
Neuralink. Excuse me. Yeah, Neuralink. So, yeah, I can see your point of view. I just am hesitant to discuss that over live broadcast. But if they're putting chips into your skull to hook you up to the internet, if you're a TI, you can kind of see where that might go.
Well, they can put it in vaccines. I mean, they have the nanotechnology now. They can aerosolize it. But I mean, what I don't understand is, and I thought about this myself. I was listening to Catherine Fitzroth. I can't remember her name. She writes Solaris report, and she's like, I don't understand. Can't these bankers see they're enslaving and killing off even their own family? She said, I think maybe they think they'll get a passport out of it or something. But I just don't think the average guy on the ground is that important. They're not going to get it. No, they openly admit they plan to do this to people. I mean, they're not admitting the full extent, we're going to turn you into cyborgs. They don't sell it like that, but that's exactly what it is. As I said, I think I personally pissed off a police officer. I'm pretty sure that's why I'm in this.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think, and no one's telling me the rules. I have to try and figure it out the best that I can. But from my understanding, is there's some sort of a rank structure. Sorry, some sort of a rank structure, and people can put you in the program, I guess.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's it. But I mean, if you go wading through their own plans, I mean, they kind of don't hide it. We're going to get rid of you. We're going to depopulate you. The vaccines, they're saying they can, cause sterility. They can put this crap in everybody. I don't understand it. I just can't believe I'm ever do this to anybody. It's inconceivable.
And it's inconceivable by its very construction, and it mirrors mental illness, specifically schizophrenia, and I don't want to make any comment during the pandemic with regards to vaccines or anything like that. People need to make up their own decisions on their own health. But the only thing I can say is that what I'm going through is horrific, and whoever else is going through it, my heart goes out to them, and I'll try and help them any way that I can. I think a lot of the points that you're suggesting are valid.
Well, actually, if anybody's interested, there's a independent blogger named Last American Vagabond, Whitney Webb. They do excellent reporting on the vaccines, the militarization of it, how it got taken over by the military, the what's in it, and they go through their own documents. That's the weird part. They admit this crap's in it, and they discuss the military applications of it. The military took it over. It's not going through FDA anymore. The military's got it.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
I'm saying if you want to know what's in those vaccines, they do excellent reporting on it. It's actually horrifying. Very fact based. They got their own documents, their own reports, and it's not good.
Well, thank you for the information, ma'am.
No problem.
Thank you, Vicki.
You're
we
welcome.
really appreciate it, and you certainly bring a lot with you to the table. Thank you so much. Okay, next question is from Tracy, who is back once again. Whoop, we just lost her. I guess it's not meant to have Tracy on the call, or at least in the queue, because she just left again. Okay, what I'm going to say is you're probably or could be tired at this point. It's up to you. It's 11 o'clock, we'll say, Eastern. And you're welcome to keep going, or you're welcome to stop. At this point in time, we don't have any further questions. That's up to you, Tim.
I guess basically one of the last comments that I'd like to make, and I think it's pertinent to the TI community with regards to the chemical attacks and the DEW. It's important to note that first responders, medical, military, we're all trained that if there is a victim of some sort of a toxic exposure, that the first procedure is to remove that individual from that environment, remove their clothing, and then either have them take a shower or try and hose them down to get the chemicals off of them. What I would suggest is a lot of these chemicals have no odor. So if the TIs are getting relief from a shower and a change of clothes, that they're probably under some sort of a covert chemical attack. If they're being hit with DEWs, at least how I see it is water, like let's say the ocean or lake, does offer some sort of a refractive element. But even if you're 5-6 feet underwater, you can still get sunburn. And from my background, light rays can penetrate well beyond 100 feet under the ocean. You lose different parts of the spectrum. The color red being first and the color green being last. But if you're getting relief from taking a shower, running water would probably give you very little refractive barrier to something that was, a directed energy weapon. So that's something to keep in mind.
Hey, Kevin, we have, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Okay.
We have Richard from North Carolina, Tracy, who got back on, Heather, and Kevin. Now, those will be the last 4 people because Tim is getting very tired and he's being attacked. Okay. Thank you very much, Vicki, again. And this is Richard from North Carolina.
Hi, Tim. It's me again. I wanted to see if you might have some sort of comment about the military, the number of military veterans that you know. I heard you say 10 or 12 that are targeted also, and what states you might be from.
With regards to the veterans that I know, just off the top of my head, I could probably count probably a dozen, and that's just from correspondence with them. A lot of them have had the street theater and all sorts of other aspects of gang stalking perpetrated against them, and they're like a lot of other people. They were trying to figure out what's going on. A lot of these guys just got back from Afghanistan. They already have PTSD. They're trying to deal with that, and then having your own community or the community that they live in seemingly turn against them is just adding fuel to the fire. My heart does go out to them. And I mean, these are pilots, these are ground troops, these are guys with technical backgrounds, and they serve their country, and it's a shame that they're not bothering anyone that this is going on. With regards to what state I'm from, I'd rather not go into that, but what I can say is I've been to several states, and the same exact thing has happened to me. Whether I take an Amtrak, whether I take a train, whether I take a plane, basically there's boots on the ground when I get off of any of those modes of transportation. So it's terrible.
Yeah. Well, just so you know, Tim, we have hundreds of thousands of veterans that are being targeted in this country. I have verified at least that many, and just so you know. And but anyway, thank you again for your information and coming on and sharing with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, brother.
Thank you both for serving your country. And next we have Tracy Moyers. Hopefully she'll be able to stay in this time. Go ahead, Tracy.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Oh, thank you. Thank God. I'm sorry, you guys. I was just getting hit in the chest. They're trying to keep me from obviously talking to Tim and asking him a question. But moving on. Tim, I wanted to thank you for your service, first and foremost, and how appreciative you are and for the information. I wanted to ask a question. My father was a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Air Force, National Guard. I have a Marine, Navy, Army. My whole family's military. I have heard, and I don't know what you think or if you have heard this or feel this way yourself, I have heard that they really target families of the military, and military kids get it really hard because they're like easy lab rat access. And if you can't get into that, I understand, but I was just curious what you could, say about that, or what you think.
Well, what I can say is that most of the males in my family, dating back to World War I, and there's have been our veterans, World War I, World War II, and from my point of view, if this is some sort of program, and it makes you wonder who's actually running it, is that if I put my mindset in an evil perpetrator and I wanted to learn how to control people, I would go after some of the most hardened people that there was in the society. That would be formally trained military. If I wanted to learn how to break an individual down, the best way to do that would be to test it on military. That's my point of view.
Okay, that exactly answers my question, because I've heard that they have gotten hit, not to discount anybody else, but they've gotten more hit because of that reason and easy access to try stuff out on us, So thank you for answering my question, and I believe in God as well, and I'll be praying for you and that you have peace and comfort and relief from this. And take care, and thank you for answering my question.
Thank you so much, Tracy, and thank you to all the individuals that have given me positive feedback and kind words. If you are a TI, you basically feel like you're surrounded and everyone hates you. So to hear that, those kind words, it means a lot to me. Thank you.
You're welcome. There is good out there. It's just we got to weed out. We got to weed out the bad ones and the ones that are trying to take over. And I do believe it does have a lot of spiritual issues to it, but I think there's a lot of good out there still, and I think people are starting to notice it, and I think good will always overcome. So take care of yourself.
Thank you. You too, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tracy. And Tracy is another one that fights against severe targeting to come on these calls and make her feelings known. Okay, next we have Heather.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Heather.
Hi, Tim. This is Heather. I'm in Colorado, and my question has to do with the chemical weapons you've referenced several times. I've been doing a ton of research over the past couple of years, and I've looked at all the DARPA programs, and they directly, each one, corresponds to these TI phenomena that we all experience, and I've been literally able to see how they correspond. And then James Giordana has also talked about his program all over the internet, and one thing he mentioned in some of his presentations that I've seen had to do with, the chemical weapons, and he didn't address it directly, but he insinuated that it wasn't chemical weapons. And I know that with the microwaves, they can sense smells, and they've done that to me so much, like where you smell something, it smells like your house is burning, or you lift your arm up and you just took a shower and it smells like BO. I mean, they send all these smells, and I've had other people with me who can even smell them, and I know it's from microwaves. So I'm wondering, how do you know for sure that it's chemical weapons and maybe not just something that they're sending you a smell via microwaves or something? Because the microwaves can cause pain, nausea, and all sorts of things.
No, and thank you very much, ma'am, for your comments, and I'll try to be as precise as I can. Bear in mind that I am currently in fear for my safety and the safety of my family. With regards to how I can tell that it is a chemical weapon, now I should say I'm in 100% agreement that if I can, your ears, nose, and throat are all connected. Those are all connected to your brain, right? So if I can make you hear voices, I can make you, I could activate your olfactory sense and make you smell different things, right? That's scientifically possible. What I'm experiencing is I have actual physiological effects from the chemicals, right? My eyes become almost pinpoint and fixed. My face becomes drawn. My blood is sent into my core of my body. My arms visibly shrink, and I can smell it coming into my home. When I'm out in public, I can smell the actual smell of the chemicals, and then I can feel the actual effects. When I come home, when I remove the clothing and I take a shower, removing those chemicals off of my body, I can get a immediate relief from the chemicals. And maybe it's due to my military training. We go into the gas chamber. We train all the time with regards to chemical suits, and etc. So maybe I would notice that a little bit more than someone that hadn't gone through that training. But I mean, it's obvious to me that when I'm getting attacked by a direct energy weapon and when I'm being attacked by chemicals, number one, I can smell them, and number one, I have a physiological response to that. When I remove those chemicals from get out of the clothing and take a shower, I get immediate relief. And then a lot of this stuff is odorless. It's been happening to me for 2.5 years straight. My lungs will start burning, my nose will start running, my eyes will become, I'll start losing my vision, which all those aspects point to me that it's chemical. And I also have a basic understanding on how they're delivering them.
Can you tell us, maybe you said it and I missed it, I got on a little late, how would they deliver that when you're not in your house, like when you're out in public somewhere?
Okay, ma'am. I'm currently, when I came into this area, and I do have a YouTube channel where I kind of explain how I was surrounded, but I literally have 6 or 7 vehicles on me at all times. So I'm a little bit hesitant to, let me explain it to you this way. If anyone's ever smelled a skunk spray, right? And your homes, your windows, underneath the foundation of your home, your air conditioning system, all of these would be ways for a negative gas or a chemical to kind of diffuse through your windows or through your walls. So let's say I had some sort of a delivery device that could spray that up against your window or near your front door, and it was similar to how a skunk smell would come through. It would just permeate through your home. I don't want to go into too much detail, but that's how it would get into your home, through your windows, through your walls, underneath your doors, and through your ventilation system. So, does that help?
Yeah, I mean, I just know I smell chemicals a lot, and I know it's not real chemicals. I just from what they've done to me, I've been able to use a meter, and I literally can see that it's not just it's EMF, electrical fields, and radio frequency, and I know for a fact that I've had these smells, because it's not just me, other people have smelled like the chemicals that they gave me for months. And then I was out at dinner before COVID with a roommate, and she smelled the chemical smells, and we were in a restaurant with yummy food around, and I told her, I'm like, I've smelled that for months. And so I know they absolutely can send things that smell like a chemical through these radio waves.
What I would encourage you to do is, if you're metering stuff, you're way in front of a lot of us. I can't afford a meter. I would encourage you to do that, but I would also encourage you that they're doing this covertly. And I'll say this: I could be standing right next to you and walk right by you, being a perp, and expose you to these chemicals. You wouldn't know it. I could be in your doctor's office. I've had it happen to me in emergency rooms. I've had it happen to me on the train, on the bus. They're just using a covert way to introduce these chemicals onto you, onto your clothing, or near you where you haven't picked up on. That doesn't mean that they couldn't be introducing some sort of radio frequency that could make you smell things that aren't there. I basically can think about, and that's from trauma, I can basically think about that smell and then smell it. A lot of people with PTSD that have been in combat or something like that, if they're going through an episode, they can smell gunpowder, etc. So, in theory, that's very possible. I'm being hit by both. The reason why I know that is there's like 30 little holes in my curtains, and when I stand up to go to the bathroom, it feels like my back has been hit by a baseball bat. For me, that's a directed energy weapon. When I go outside in the community, a lot of these are what's called POP or OP pesticides. I can come home and smell the pesticide. It smells like ant spray, all in my mask, all over my clothes. So, I mean, everyone's situation is a little bit different. I would just suggest that everything is being done covertly. You know, there's surveillance everywhere. So put yourself in their shoes. If they wanted to expose you to chemicals, they would have to be able to do that while under direct surveillance without someone being able to prove it.
Okay, does that answer your question, Heather?
Yes, thank you, Frank, and thank you, Tim.
Thank you very much, Heather, for bringing all the knowledge that you have and putting it into a question. Thank you so much. Okay, Kevin is next. The last call that we will take is Jennifer Heaton. Go ahead, Kevin.
Okay, so Tim, I totally agree about the whole military thing. You're targeted because you kind of went through that training early on in life. So I definitely agree with you. And that's if they're trying to break somebody down, yeah, they're going to see like how they can possibly up their training. I don't know. But yeah, I agree with you on that. As far as the smell thing goes, is this more of like, hey, you're sitting in your car and you're driving and you smell something burning? Like, have you ever gone through that? Like something smells like it's on fire?
I haven't smelt anything that smells like something is burning. I can say this. Anytime that I make it publicly known, like i.e. around other people, that I want to leave town, I'm exposed to some sort of chemical that makes me about as swift as a turtle. I can't remember how I got there. I don't know where I'm going. I have advanced navigation both on land and underwater, which is one of the hardest mediums on Earth to try and navigate. It's even more difficult than space, especially at night. And I can't figure out what train I'm on, where I'm trying to go. This could be DEW. It also could be chemicals. But what I can say is once I get to a place where I can change my clothes, I can take a shower, these effects dissipate. What I can also say is if it's happening inside of they can mix these chemicals with any sort of, I mean, you can buy extracts or anything that you want online. And what I've experienced is if they're doing it in a hotel where there's other people around, they add something to it that makes it smell a little bit like marijuana. I was on a job site recently, and this happened to me, and the guy said, someone's getting high around here. But since it had happened to me 80 other times, I could tell the difference between it.
The whole marijuana smell. Okay. Yeah, I've actually experienced like a bunch of different smells in the air, and I'm like, this is impossible because I'm in my truck. So how is this actually happening? Like the marijuana smell, or something's on fire, or something's burning, or I don't know, like a chemical type of smell. So I had surgery, and I believe they put like a remote neural monitoring chip inside my body, which they actually can control like my senses, like throughout my whole entire body. They can increase my vision, and then they can also make my vision like absolutely horrible. They can dial up some smells and basically make my nose smell something that is not present. So they're basically manipulating things that are actually going on inside of my body, which is, I don't know, sometimes I feel it's kind of dangerous because I might be out driving around and they're actually manipulating my body while I'm, driving, which is dangerous for other people because you have people on the side of the road, you've got cars in front of you, and they're messing with like my senses 100% all day long, every single day. And I also have the V2K, and I've got the gang stalking, and yes, I am a veteran as well, just like you. So I mean, I get hit pretty hard every day, all day long, and it doesn't stop. It's just 100% constant, and it's been going on for a very, very, very long time. But yeah, I definitely agree with you when you say you might have been chosen because you went through basic military training, and that's where they're supposed to break you at and build you back up. So I definitely agree with you about that. The only reason why I asked you earlier, were you part of the VA healthcare system, was because I looked at a chart online of how the DOD is actually lined up, and it's funny because the VA actually falls under the DOD as well as the healthcare system that once you get out of the military, you can sign up for TRICARE. I don't know if you guys know this, but TRICARE is basically insurance for veterans and military families. So I think they're doing a lot of stuff in the DOD. And you also have DARPA. So DARPA falls under the DOD. So all these agencies that fall under the DOD, I think that there's something there that really needs to be separated, because my health care, I pay for my TRICARE. I pay for it out of my own pocket. But TRICARE falls under the DOD, so how does that actually work? And I mean, those are the only reasons why I asked you, those first questions. Were you part of, the VA healthcare system? Because right there, it's going to basically give you maybe a couple clues onto, why you might be targeted.
Well, thank you, brother. And like I said, I currently, I think, like a lot of other TIs, especially having a basic military background, that I am scared to say certain things. What I can say is the VA has treated me very good. I'm hesitant to say any sort of support system that I might have, because these guys are going to try and thwart anything in my life that could be a positive. What I can say, brother, is the way that would be getting into your car is through your ventilation system. This might give you a heads up of how it could be dispersed around you. With regards to you having vision problems, I have it all the time, man. Like I said, I have physiological effects from being exposed to these chemicals. And if you remember our training, you got to get out of your clothes and try and wash off those chemicals. If you are being gang stalked and you are smelling things that should not be there, I would say that it's probably not what you think it is. It's probably chemicals that are being you're being exposed to it in a covert way. This is the first time I've spoken out publicly, and I am currently, I get sprayed with the shit just walking down to the store. The police have found me semi-conscious on the side of the road where I've had to get out of my car because I keep getting these really strong chemical smells. I don't know where I'm at. I can't see. I can't navigate myself through a paper bag. I mean, I could be standing in front of my house and not realize it was my own house. So, like we were taught in the military, if you're having that, close off your air vents and keep a little bit roll down your windows a little bit. At least from what I've been experiencing, most of that is chemical, which I'd like to point out is against even what is it, the Geneva Convention for any sort of chemicals to be used in a theater of war, and this shit's going on in society.
I agree. Okay, Kevin, do you have any other questions for Tim?
Yeah, what about the Nuremberg Code? I mean, we're not supposed to be used as science experiments against our will. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Frank?
The United States does have to follow the Nuremberg Code, but they have specific definitions of what they call torture, and they say that torture does not exist in the United States. And this is why they don't get along with the UN, because the UN knows that there's things going on, as you well know, and the UN would step in and take care of this. But the United States will not sign the doctrine that would let them.
Well, the United States actually departed from the Council for Human Rights. And I believe that was either last year or the year before. They're no longer on that council. So another question would be, do they still need to abide by, the rules and the laws of the UN?
Yes, they do, because if not, the UN would gather support from the other nations and come down on the U.S. like a brick wall.
But this is the U.S. I mean,
that's right. It doesn't matter. The U.S. Against the world, against the free world. Actually, not the free world, the whole world. All the members of the UN pay to be part of the UN and donate to UN projects. So you have to take into consideration the United States, although they're not on the doctrine, they have to be reasonable, or the citizens will contact the UN, as I have, and as many of us have. And there is a world court submission form that we keep on our website that you can take down and copy. And if enough of those hit Geneva, there will be problems.
And I'd like
how do we know that we download information, the documents, we notify the UN, and, with being gang stalked, electronically harassed, every single thing that you can think happens to us, we really have no idea, where our information is actually going unless we actually show up at the United Nations and file a complaint in person, because I've sent the UN, messages, and I've never received a response.
You have to file through an NGO like myself. That's a non-government organization. If you file by yourself, you will not get a response. And if you file with an NGO, you will get a response. So that's the way it goes. Individual complaints are put in the circular file. Combined complaints from NGOs are listened to. That's just the way it is with them. Okay, Kevin, we got to move on quickly because Tim is very, very tired and has been heavily targeted today.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate your time tonight.
Hey, thank you, brother.
Kevin,
Take care.
Kevin, I appreciate the questions that you've asked and the content that you have brought forward. Thank you very much. Okay, next we have Callie. And Callie, brief.
Yeah, very brief. For both Kevin and Tim, is there any way I could give you guys my 2 emails, and if by chance they're working, would you guys email me if there's a way I can contact you, or an email I can even send to you? You're like one of the 2, there's very few people, and there's another gentleman, I'll remain unnamed, that goes through all this stuff, but most TI women I speak to, anyway, you guys just, so many things you've mentioned I haven't been able to talk to anybody about that's happened. Would you be willing at all?
Absolutely.
Yeah, contact me, Callie.
Yeah.
And we'll put you together, okay? But
that's awesome.
This gentleman has a family, and he does not want his anonymity threatened. Okay?
No. Yeah, absolutely. All right, thanks, Frank. Thank you very much. And
okay,
God bless
last
both of you guys.
last question. Thank you very much, Callie. And last question from Jennifer. Go ahead, Jen.
Okay, actually, I'm not Jennifer. That's who I'm coming across as because I'm using a Gmail phone. Anyway, Tim, thank you for being on the call. I'm really sorry that military thing didn't work out so well for you. Do you know about multiple chemical sensitivities? That was something that was big in the 80s, and I think they were poisoning people back then, too. I know the chemical stuff. I can smell it up and down the block. It depends on what kind of chemical it is. They have one that smells like garlic, so it's an organophosphate. It makes your eyes pinpoint, like you said. Some of them will give you dry mouth. Some of them will give you orange diarrhea. Some of them will give you heart failure, kidney failure, all this other stuff. And your memory will be shot and it'll come back. That's all chemicals, if you can smell them. A lot of people can't smell them, but being able to smell chemicals, there's 2 things. Women can smell better than men can. We have a much more acute sense of smell. And overexposure. The more you get exposed to something, the more likely you are to smell it. There's a whole bunch of stuff on the internet about that, and it's multiple chemical sensitivities.
Okay, what's your question?
But my question is, have you tried using a black light, or not actually a black light, but a woods lamp to see if you could illuminate some of this stuff?
No, ma'am, I haven't. I've really been just trying to keep my head above water. Like I said, I've lost 5 jobs in the last year. I had a really good job with a chance to become like a GS9, GS10 level federal employee, but due to what I'm going through, I collapsed at work. I've just been trying to do the best that I can to try to get away from this. Unfortunately, if you are a TI, it's very difficult, especially in big cities.
Have you tried going into work in the private sector?
Here's a shout out for myself. If anyone has work that, if they think I have a decent brain and mindset that they'd like to offer me some work, I can do a lot more things than just construction. So I've just been trying to get away from this. I mean, I've traveled 1,200 miles in the last 3 months, and everywhere I go, the same exact thing starts happening. So I've just been trying to basically stay alive.
Yeah, and I want to add one thing too. The police, they'll come over and, oh yeah, I smell. I said, well, what if I test it? What are you going to do then? They do nothing, okay? They don't have to do anything by law either. If you could spend a fortune getting this stuff tested and find out what it is, But if they're just going to put it in your file, what good does that do you? So I don't know what to tell you, Tim, but I wish you luck. I'm going to hang up now so you can get off the line and get some sleep.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to end the Q&A, and I did mention that Jennifer Heaton would be the last call, and that's not who she is anyway. So, okay, I'm going to end the Q&A, and Jim, get some sleep. You can stay around and listen if you'd like to. That's up to you.
I'm just looking at it, Frank, and it's been close to 3 hours. So
yeah.
You
Yep.
know, I hope I came across relatively intelligent, and hopefully I said some things that can help the community.
Tim, hit unmute, would you please? Yeah, we had a lot of noise here. I got you. I think. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't want, we had a lot of people, the entire place was unmuted, so that brings in a lot of noise. But
Okay.
go ahead.
No, I was just saying thank you very much for the platform, and hopefully I came off relatively intelligently, and hopefully I was able to help some people.
Well, you certainly did, and you brought up a lot of questions, and you brought up a lot of the answers, and that's what we like to hear. And
Okay.
I thank you personally for serving your country and any other veterans on this call. Thank you for serving your country.
Oh,
and
thank you for saying that, sir.
I do have a piece of information for Tim. I watched my vehicle closely for days and weeks so that no one could possibly get to the vehicle because of the chemicals, and sure enough, the chemicals stopped. So if they have access to it, they do put canisters in the vehicle, as well as where your vent is near your windshield wipers. If you ever see a white spot on the hood as if a bird flew over, they drip things on the hood of my vehicle. So if you keep the vehicle where they can't get to it very often, that'll cut down on your chemicals in your car.
Okay, yeah, and I agree wholeheartedly, and I've actually, what you're talking about, the devices, I've actually come across one when they knew where I was walking. I could actually probably draw it from memory, but it did have a magnet on the bottom of it, and I've actually had them break in underneath like my dashboard, and I think that they had put a device in there also that can be remotely activated.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Richard.
You're welcome, Tim.
I'll get your number from Frank after I try to get a little bit of sleep tonight, and then maybe we can correspond back and forth.
Thank you,
yep.
sir.
From 1 p.m. on tomorrow would be great. Anytime before that, I'll be catching up on my sleep if I can myself.
Okay.
Hey, Tim?
Yes.
Tim? Hey, this is Kevin.
Okay.
Get my contact information from Frank. All right?
Okay. All right. Thank you, brothers.
Reach out to you.
Thank you so much, Tim.
Okay.
Be safe.
All right. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye, Tim.
Bye. Good man. I hope he's inspired a lot of us to do a little thinking and do a little research. And I thank you for the questions that you've brought up and the many answers that you've given. So, the floor is open. And I'm going to go grab a cup of coffee. Richard, you can...
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You go ahead. Help yourself. Yeah.
Hi, Richard.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, Richard, where are you from?
North Carolina.
How's the weather down there?
It is cool today, cloudy. We're expecting some rain for tomorrow and maybe even New Year's Day. Weather's going to be warm enough. Maybe we won't get any ice or snow, but definitely got some rain on the way.
Do you have anybody to spend New Year's Eve with?
Excuse me?
Do you have anybody to spend New Year's Eve with?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, sir. We got a party going on tonight. I got a crowd of people over here. We've been chasing perps up and down the road and shaking them up a little bit, getting some tag numbers, making them make wrong turns and wrong moves, see how many mistakes we can get them to make. And New Year's Eve, we're going to be doing pretty much the same thing, except we're going to be cooking a very large pot of black-eyed peas.
So you're basically gang stalking the people that are gang stalking you guys, right?
Absolutely. Couldn't happen to a nicer bunch of guys.
So
make sure you help them.
Can we come by for that New Year's celebration?
Yeah, make sure you help them when they walk by.
I wish I could be there with you guys. That would be right up my alley.
Well, I have been developing some teams, and we have been working on some things, and they've been working out really, really good when I can get everyone together. That's the problem, but we have a lot of fun when we do, and we're stepping baby steps a little at a time. We're not trying to, change the world in a day, but gathering information is the main thing.
Intel is everything.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just catalog it all.
Yeah.
And we'll trade notes sometime. And I've got a lot of notes. I'm sure you.
Yeah, we've been looking at one of the little swinging lampshades, like they had in the prison camps. Can't quite come up with the right kind yet, but we're working on it.
Okay, I'm going to be back in like 5 minutes, Richard. Maybe you and Kevin can handle the floor. Okay?
Absolutely.
So, Richard, you say you have multiple people working with you to document and surveil the people that are actually surveilling you. So you're kind of doing like a counter intelligence type of thing right now, correct?
Yes, sir. And the silly part of it is they are going to come and they are going to go, so we can count on them giving us what we're looking for. And we don't even have to anticipate. It's like a given. They're going to come, they're going to go, and we're going to record. But we do get out and have fun.
I'd actually like to see how you're actually doing this, just so I could actually duplicate this, where I'm from.
Yeah.
So how would I?
Well, the first thing you want to do is keep a real close eye on the cars and the people driving the cars and the tag numbers. The frequent movement they have around you, even if it's somewhere you're uptown or at a store, usually it's the same people, even if it's not the same car. So you keep up with both, and then you set and wait, and they'll come around. They'll come around with their little cell phones and smartphones and drive back and forth. There'll be some trucks and cars, but you'll get used to which ones after a while, like a month or two, and then you step out and do it. Because if you do it 3 or 4 or 5 days in a row, they're going to change up on you. But if you do it out of the blue, just jump out there, get pictures of the cars, pictures of the people driving it, tag numbers. You got all kinds of documentation. We follow them. We have people that are parked somewhere at a grocery store or a gas station that they don't even know is involved. So these people that get behind them and pop.
It's basically like the person in the back of the parking lot that has no reason to be there, and they're slowly creeping up on you. And then everywhere you look, somebody is popping out from some place. It's like every time you turn your head, there's movement, correct? Is that?
Yeah. Yeah, I can pull in after you watch it a while, it gets easier. I can pull into a parking lot. I can sit there for maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and I can pick the one out. Out of 20, 30 cars, I can pick the one out simply by the people coming and going, because they're not going to hesitate. The people that are shopping, they're going to get out the car, they're going to go in, they're going to come out the store, they're going to get in the car, they're going to leave. But the other guys, they're sitting there, they're just waiting, they're just, whatever. And they kind of tell on themselves after a while, especially if you get out and walk toward their car, and they won't roll the window down or something, they act freaked out or whatever. And if it's somebody, just shopping, do you know where the Walmart is? I mean, you go on about your business. If you make a mistake, you can make mistakes. But literally, if you know the cars and the faces, you can get them. You can catch them.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely see a lot of that going on around me every single day. It's kind of like, it's been going on for so long that it's actually become the norm for me. Yeah, that's just normal. Like going through this every single day. Did you ever think about like you've I don't know how long have you been going through this?
It's going on now about 14 years.
All right, so for 14 years. So this has basically become the norm for your life. What would you could you imagine like what normal life without this happening going on, what would that actually do to you? Because this has become the norm. So this is all the hype.
Well, actually, it's not, for me, not become the norm. For me, it's more or less become a war. And you have to be smart about how you fight this war, because you might end up in a prison camp, let's say. So you don't do enough to be taken away, but you do enough to let them know that, well, they've got a situation on their hands too. It's just a way to fight back a little bit, a way to stick it back to them a little bit. Anything you can do. So I kind of just give it back to them. I show them that there are people out here that are sick of it, and more or less they know at any given time, you see, that I could go pluck me one out if I wanted to. And I'm in the same boat. They could come and pluck me out pretty much anytime they wanted to. So now I've put them in the same boat that I'm in. You're going to come, I'm going to be ready for you. If I wanted
they have
to,
me
I
stuck
can.
in a car all night because they won't let me in my house, and I play that little game with them too. But you can't help it because like you said, it's enough to keep them. You try to keep them away,
Oh yeah.
So, where are you from? Hello? The lady that was just talking, where?
Me, Kevin, you spoke to me. I'm New Jersey.
You're in New Jersey?
Yeah, I'm the New Jersey chick. They're chasing me around in my car all night long.
I'm your neighbor.
And I chase them. I know you're in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. You know what we should do? We should get together and kind of do what Richard's doing. And then we do it together. I'll drive, and you document everything.
Yeah, have her go to a parking place before you, without calling each other, of course. Just on the knowledge of, okay, we're going to do this today, and her go to the parking lot with a camera, with maybe more than one camera, and maybe even a second or third person, and then you leave home. Yeah.
That's what we need because they will follow me anywhere. They follow me anywhere I go.
Well,
and then
okay.
after I'm there a half an hour, they'll make little pop, 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 pop noises in the back of the car to let me know they're there. Even if the car's off, it's not my car doing it. It's something they shoot at the back of my car. And even if I drive like 100 miles away, they'll still do it.
So where in New Jersey are you? If you don't mind
Northern.
And where?
In northern New Jersey.
So you're like Fort Lee?
Well, right now I'm over central Jersey. My home is in Bergen County, New Jersey.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know if you want to get together and go out and just I would love to see what you see compared to what I see. Like just comparing a TI's experience with another TI at the same time. That would be absolutely amazing. Yeah, do I know I'm getting gang stalked? Yeah. Am I scared? I don't think there's... I was in Afghanistan, so I don't really think that these people here in America can actually scare me. I mean, I don't think, that they can actually...
Because they made me leave my home. They hit me with weapons. And that's one of the things I'm scared about going too far in the car. They don't normally do it to me in the car, but they have done it in the car. And my legs sort of hurt. I can't drive that far. It's like locally I do this at night, but they have me out of the house, and I'm like riding around in my car. And I don't know, so it's just messed up. But these people
would you like to get together and go out and experience these things together? And we can confirm them and just...
I mean, yeah, it's like at some point probably, yeah. But it's sort of hard because like I said, I can't drive far in the daytime because of my legs messed up. I'm driving around at night, because it's easier to drive at night with the messed up legs. But yeah, these guys they circle you and they I don't know, they get out of their cars and they're opening the doors and doing something like a block away. I have night vision cameras. I see them doing it. I'm recording them. They're messed up and I don't know what they are.
I'd like
spray
to see
shit at the car. They don't know what they're doing.
So would it be okay for me to give you my contact information?
Okay, hold on.
and I mean you're like right next to me. Like,
hold on a minute.
Like,
I gotta put the phone down and find the pen. I'm in the car. Hold on.
It's always good to add you a conspirator that is not a TI, one that is a non-TI.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Oh, add a non-TI to the that's a really good idea, but it's kind of like, hey, how do I get somebody to actually believe me? You know, I mean, it's
you don't. You don't do that at all. You just simply say, hey, been having me some hard times, not feeling so good. How would you like to make a little extra money babysitting? When they say babysitting,
pay somebody else.
I pay them to babysit me. Yes.
Yeah. So basically, all you have to do is find somebody that is not working right now, which you probably could because of COVID-19.
Absolutely.
Richard?
Say hey.
Richard?
Yeah.
Hi. Whenever I try to hire anybody, it can go a year when I actually need the help because I'm physically unable to do much beyond the minimum of everyday life. So they do not they don't let me even find people that I don't know to work for money that I actually need the work done. And then when finally someone I am put in touch with, it's very obvious that they've set it up. Even on the computer, they'll add a name and a number and a category for me to call, blah, blah, blah. So they select who comes into my life. So how would you find those people that either A, they're not going to contact before they come to babysit, or go talk to them after and they'll never come back to babysit again? I mean, I
well, there's a thing that was going on in this country before telephone and before computers and all this stuff, and it's called word of mouth, and it's called speaking, saying hi to people that you don't know. And I don't know, but I mean, I don't have any trouble doing either. I've got a whole group of non-TIs that work with me all the time, and I have some TIs that work with me all the time.
That's
and
great.
I also go from place to place looking and finding more all the time. So it's not hard. In fact, I just found, let's see, within the last week, I hit the mother lode. I found millions of TIs that we did not even know about, and they're called the Indian Nation.
Oh, wow.
They're
talking I'm sorry, the lady from New Jersey, do you want my contact information?
Yeah.
All right. You can call me at 267-218-5814.
Okay, I just thought I'd let you know that I'm back, and that it's been a great call tonight. I think Tim was a great guest too.
He was good.
Yeah.
Yep, and we'll see if we can get some more great guests to have on every week, Wednesday and Friday.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, what are you guys talking about?
Setting up perps that you know are going to come and go and follow you in, doing this sort of stuff to get photos and documentation and proof, witnesses with you that it was taking place, just as a file to keep. I have a lot of fun chasing them around. We've been chasing a few tonight. while I've been off and on the call, but they were talking about grouping some people up. Turns out Kevin's right next to one of the ladies that spoke, so they were hooking up and maybe going to go out and experience some of it together as each other's witnesses. So that's kind of a good thing too.
Oh yeah, anytime you can get TIs in a group, that's fantastic.
Is Kevin still on the phone? Kevin?
Hi, Frank.
Hi.
Kevin.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm
Kevin.
sorry. It's support person Ann. What are we going to do here, Frank? We got a couple big situations right now.
Okay, which situations are you speaking of?
Oh, I'm working with the disabled TIs. I was hoping to have my call together like, I don't know, ages ago. No thanks to, so I'm just kind of just doing the best I can right now because I really do care about people, and this V2K is highly debilitating. I can't believe that the health insurance, has got money to waste on the fallout from all this. I don't know what else to say, so.
I don't understand what you mean. They have money to waste on the fallout from all of this.
So if somebody has to be in the hospital because they've been V2K'd to a fairly well, I don't know.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, it should be made known, and eventually it will be made known what the problems are. But the protocol in the medical community has to change. And over a period of time, it will change. And that is up to us to change it, especially in the psychiatric community, because they put money into it. They put money in 1974 to further research in V2K.
But I mean, anything to do with disabilities really does hit home, and I just feel like that they just take advantage so much of. I mean, they will put a blind person in a psychiatric center for those, I don't know, like your Somerville Hospital from way back when, just because they have the room available
this
for them.
This bag is made out of...
Yeah, we have a new organization by a woman down in Gloucester, Massachusetts, and her name is Nicole, and it's TI Parents Helping Parents.
Yeah,
now, it's not necessarily about parents with small children. It's about adults with parents who don't understand what's going on. It's about families that don't understand what's going on with you. So it's not just about TI small children, although that is the premise by which it was formed. It's actually, actually a 20.
There's different populations out there. I love Richard's idea about having somebody, you got to really be enterprising, and I feel like, there's a lot of barriers. And speaking of disability, and then I'll mute and leave it alone. You're talking about out in New Jersey. I just wonder, a case came to me a long time ago. Well, it's no secret. Leslie, can I say her name out here, Frank?
As long as she doesn't mind.
I don't know. Well, it's just a case that took place, around the very late 80s. It was on Geraldo, and that's how I came to my attention, even though I'm originally from Indiana. Well, you just wonder, where are they now, kind of a situation, because she wasn't that much older than I was right then.
Yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of disabled TIs who would love to, come forward. And like yourself, they have joined us here. And I know there are things that we don't speak of here and that we don't know about, that only you would know about. But as the calls come in, record those that are disabled like yourself and go from there. What's the other? We have this COVID-19. Now, the first case of the new strain of COVID from Europe was found in Colorado. And that was, I believe, 2 days ago.
It's in California now, too, Frank, today.
Is it really? Okay. Well, when they say don't no fly to Europe, that means no fly. But they let certain people go there. So I don't know whether they're trying for herd immunity or what. But we have enough problems as TIs without contracting a disease contrived to take out the population. I mean, we have enough on our plates. We don't need any more.
Does anybody have any thoughts? I've heard other TIs and myself as well that the targeting has gotten worse, beginning with the lockdown last spring for us. I've heard other TIs say that.
It's gotten progressively worse.
Right.
But through the holiday season, historically, it gets bad through the holiday season, and that's because they prey on your emotions, and many TIs spend Christmas and New Year's alone, which is a crime in itself.
I have for over 10 years because of this. I haven't celebrated Christmas or New Year's or a birthday with anybody in over 10 years because of this program.
Yes, this is something that should not happen. TIs in each state, if they want to, I mean, some people don't like to, but you should get together around the holiday season. And,
well, frankly, you're too sick to drive and you get very far. How are you going to do that?
Yeah, that's right.
They just knock you off your feet, literally. Are there many people listening on the call right now? Because I don't want to bring this up unless there is a fair number of people listening.
There are 58. We were up to, I think, 80-something.
Cool. Can I just step out and try to ask a question? I haven't pre-formulated the question,
go ahead.
But it's just gnawing at me more with every passing day or week. And I'm listening to other TIs and what the living hell they're going through, right? And I don't know about you guys, but for anybody on this call that can identify with the guest tonight that was talking, Tim, which I think at least several of you or more I've heard Ken on some levels, I am righteously angered to my core. And when is enough going to be enough for us? And believe me, I don't have the answer to my question, but I just wish we could, those of us that are willing to literally give up everything to make this stop for the sake of others that are at the end, what can we try to do in a large number? And I mean do it. Just pull out all the stops. And Richard, I know you've talked about this too, but it's the end for some of us. And then people just die. This has got to stop. And I don't know, I know everybody's busy trying to tackle this problem from so many angles, and everybody's doing a great job. But for those of us that are at the end and there's no support, and we know the end, we just know from how ill we've been for so long and poisoned for so long. For me, it goes back to my early 20s.
First of all, no one is at the end, okay? Call it the beginning. Don't call it the end.
Well, I know, but I mean the end here, where there won't be many opportunities of time left to do something, to try to do something.
There's plenty of time to do something. Oh. Okay? There's never not enough time. Tomorrow, something could break wide open, like it has in the past. We've been getting one good event after another. And I wish there were more. But it started.
There will be. There will be more. Yeah.
Yeah, it started with the diplomats. Okay,
what about getting
cracking the
together?
shell right there. Excuse me. That was like cracking the shell right there. Our diplomats in Cuba and our one lone diplomat that reported in China. And we also had people in Australia. And let me see.
You know
I
what,
believe
Frank?
we had some Canadian people as well.
But if I go lined up 50 strangers on the street and ask them if they ever heard the news about one of those things you just mentioned where I am, they'd all say never heard about it. Not one of them. So I'm not saying it's not having an impact.
They've heard about the U.S. diplomats, I'm sure. I'm positive of it.
Well, I ask people and they don't. Maybe it's just the area I'm in. People don't listen to the news and current events. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just not able to make myself very well understood.
Well, instead of asking them about it, have you a handful of flyers with the information and hand it to them and ask them to please, as American citizens, take the time to read it.
I do. I've copied letters, personal letters that I give to strangers, and just ask them for the sake of themselves and their kids to please just start with just glance at my letter and see where it might take you to be informed. You need to be, and I try when I can. But so I mean, you guys don't feel like this urge for us to just pull out the stops, those of us that have nothing to lose, and just get together in such numbers that it'll have to have media coverage? I mean, just something.
That's what I'm looking for. I say this all the time. We need numbers. Okay?
Yeah,
we need
Richard does. I do. I've been saying it too. So how do we make it happen, you guys? How do we make it happen?
Okay, this is what you have to do. I brought this up to Midge Mathis, and we spoke a little bit on it. But that's a TI Woodstock, if you will.
Yeah, I like that.
You pick a state.
Vermont. It's a great state. There's not much TI up there.
Okay, Vermont, I don't think would be able to rent anything for less than $100 a square foot.
What's Pennsylvania?
No, more Pennsylvania. I was born there. Where in Pennsylvania are you? Are you near Philadelphia?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I was born and raised there.
Pennsylvania, where it all started. You're talking about
I think it
where
happened to me at
everything
birth.
was signed. Talking about the Liberty Bell.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Frank, can I answer her question about what we can do? Because
please.
Yeah,
please do, because I haven't given it much thought. I'm just speaking out off the cuff to get a conversation going. I haven't given this thought. I just have this driving, constant urge to try to start this, and I know everybody probably does too, but I don't know where to go with it. So I'm just putting it out there.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so I've been a political activist for a very, very long time, and we can look at other things where it was really hard to get people to understand. For example, the GMO issue, genetically modified food.
Yes.
I worked on that like around Y2K, this not like a V2K voice, but like I got this feeling that it was really, really important to work on, and it took years. I mean, literally, we sent press releases to the media for 3 years, maybe 5, before they finally, someone was telling them not to print it. They were just putting it away. And all of a sudden, in Denver, there were 2 papers at the time, Rocky Mountain News and the Denver Post. They had gotten all of those press releases, and all of a sudden they ran a front page article with this huge inside spread. So what happens with activism, unfortunately, is it doesn't always happen overnight, and it's so frustrating. It feels like herding cats. But we do have numbers. What we don't have is focus. And so what I've learned through political activism, is what you got to do is kind of pick 1 or 3 things that you're going to do. For example, once we get through this election and the focus is off of, Trump and Biden, we can do a legislative campaign. And if we all work together, like when you go on to like Twitter, for example, you can go on to someone's account who has 20 50, let's just say 10, 20,000 followers, you're reaching so many people. And I've got a governor following me on Twitter, and I get shadow banned really bad, but what you can do is you can follow your local legislators, because they typically want to hear from someone in their contingency, in their area. And so you can follow, this is something you can start doing now. You can start following your governor, your local congressperson, and get to know them. And they may post something. Like during the election, I tried to get people to do this. I said, okay, what you can do is wait for them to say something negative about either side. And then instead of arguing with them about who's better, this side or that side, you say, well, you know what? I don't hear either side talking about this. And then you link to the James Giordana, Nora weaponry. I made a shortened version of what he talks about, because his videos go like 2 hours. So I made one that just goes into the worst of what he says. And there's no arguing about that. He gave that presentation at Los Alamos, and he's the expert on neuroweaponry. And then you say to your governor, your local congressperson, I don't hear anyone talking about this. And then you link to James Giordana, and that's pretty powerful.
Right. The only objection I have is GMO is directed at the entire population. Okay, so the news media would pick that up.
Good point.
Okay? This organization, this community, is small by comparison. So when you say we have numbers, we have to get focused, like you said.
Yeah.
When we go to Washington, instead of having, 300 people, why don't we have 1,000 people? You know why? Some TIs that live in Washington didn't even go. So there has to be an impetus for someone to go.
I mean, you guys.
Go ahead.
Well, Martin Luther King Jr., somebody brought his name up on Ella's call. Martin Luther King Jr., his people that he was trying to fight for, they walked for days in their bare feet to get to whatever it was he was doing on his powerful, to follow him and meet with him in places, right? They walked for days in bare feet and no food, probably no water really, and they were there in huge numbers. Our literal lives depend on this. There's a lot of people I'm hearing that I didn't realize that have been targeted as long as I have, or as badly as I'm being targeted. And there's more than I thought. And we've got nothing to lose by getting every single one of us in one place and then having someone at a healthier spot tell us what they want us to do or say. If all we can do is just show up.
Callie, what have you done?
Well, Frank, nothing. I've been so ill. I've just been barely staying alive and keeping a roof over my head and trying to get medical care. That's the problem. I was trying to.
Well, that's half the TIs, and that's why it's so hard to get them in one place, and why social media is a really good forum for people who are sick and who aren't able to get around, people who are disabled, people that are in wheelchairs. We've got half of our TIs are really, really sick, and they're not able to march or go walk across the country.
Well, when you say half of our TIs are sick, where are you getting this information? I mean,
all right. Well, in Colorado, we've got at least 100, and I'd say that half of them are just not that functional anymore. They're just really, really sick. They get targeted so exactly.
Basically, they've been targeted for so long that they're basically
your body can't take it anymore.
They're beaten mentally and physically. So that's
complete debilitation. But what about if each of us...
Also, I have a suggestion in terms of the legislative thing. Long time ago, we needed a wilderness bill in Texas. I suggested this about 3 or 4 years ago. And we had no wilderness in Texas. And that's a big state. A lot of places you could do that. So one man, a lawyer, who retired from the oil company, decided he wanted to put something back into it, and he started a group, and they met, they did that. But when it got to doing the lobbying and going to Washington, he wrote a bill. He actually wrote the bill. And when they found someone who would sponsor the bill, that's all you need, is someone to actually write it and write it well enough to where the congressman or whoever it is will take it to Congress and talk about it.
Again,
but
you were
if we
talking about...
write it ourselves, don't let the congressman do it. It'll never happen. You know what happened the other day?
Well,
2
Dennis
hours they got
Kucinich
to
did. Dennis
read.
Kucinich did write a bill, and he presented the bill on space weapons. Dennis Kucinich did that in 2001, a long time ago, and he basically, the Dems ran him out of office. They ran another Democrat against him. They poured money into him, into his opponent, and so I mean, we have had
a lot has happened since then. We've had Edward Snowden come out with his William Benny has come out too, and people understand about the surveillance problem. That's one thing that everybody can relate to. And then we add the rest of the stuff when it's covert, this covert stuff that's going on with us. Then I think people are more attuned to it now than they've ever been. Look what happened.
Well, we just need to rewrite what Dennis did. If we rewrite what Dennis did, then we can get people locally to carry it. We have to take. We can't say they get rid of every single satellite weapon out there because they're not going to do that. But we can tailor what Dennis did, adapt it a bit, and we could spread that out to all our local legislators and to U.S. legislators in the country.
What's the impact of that, Heather? Because you have a bill in California against satellite weaponry or satellites used against targeted individuals or the whole population. I don't have the bill in front of me.
Well, what Toma did is she just wrote it herself. I've worked on bills with a senator before, and you have to do it with them. You can't just write something and say, here you go. You have to work with them on it.
That's not what I said. I said they don't know the story. Once they get the issues, they don't understand the issues. Besides, look at what happened. Let me tell you real quick, finish, and I'll get off because I don't talk long. Okay, what happened the other day was they got a 6,000-page thing to read in 2 hours. It's all this extra stuff that goes in. Get it put into something that is popular. People do that. Democrats do this. What they'll do is take and add something that doesn't have anything to do with the issue that they're talking about, and then nobody knows what's in the bill until it's passed.
Here's the thing.
We're in a mess.
Okay? We need a bill because the United States government is not protecting its citizens.
Amen.
Okay?
Amen.
That will win everywhere. Okay? That will focus on all of the citizens. Okay? Because one of the things that President Putin of Russia stated was that the United States is at the top of his list for nations who fail to protect their own citizens. That bill will fly.
Well, one population we have to work with, and I think this is a really good approach that has worked well in Colorado. I actually have gone to a couple of the meetings. They've had like 100 mothers show up who are worried about 5G. And that group is very open to learning about all of this stuff that's happening to us, because if you actually document it and you show the electrical fields, the EMF, and the radio frequency, they are interested in that because they're trying to understand 5G, and then they have numbers. They have numbers, and they are just up, in an uproar to try to stop 5G. So if we work with them, and that was kind of something we've done in the past with political activism, is you form coalitions. So if your group doesn't have, 100,000 people, you work with a group that does. Like as an environmental activist, you work with the Sierra Club. Even if you don't think they're the best, they have the numbers. So you form a coalition with 10 other groups, for example, and then you can create a bigger force.
Okay, I have an example of that too. Very quickly, we were trying to stop a nuclear plant from being built. We had about 10 people marching in a circle downtown Dallas. This was a long time ago too. Marching in a circle downtown Dallas. And then all of a sudden the Iranian people, we didn't even know what they were doing. They came stomping. It sounded like boom, boom, boom from way off, and they came marching through with their pre-printed signs. And then one guy came along, and he said, "Can I join you?" And another guy just from somewhere else said, "Can I join you?" Sure. So he marched around in a circle with us. The news showed up, which is exactly what we wanted to do to get our issue out. Yeah. What did they do? They asked him what he was on. He said, "Oh, I'm all about fluoride." I mean, I'm sorry. I don't like coalitions. I think you dilute what you've got to say, and people get you mixed up with everybody else. I tried it with the Sierra Club. I used to be head of the Sierra Club in Dallas. We did that, too. You get diluted.
No, and then
it's identity politics. I don't like identity politics. Anyway, that's what happened.
Is the TI from New Jersey still on the phone?
Kevin?
Hello? Yes. Did you get my phone number? Hello?
Is that Kevin talking?
Yes, this is Kevin.
Okay. Well, I don't know what happened to that woman who was on, but there was another guy. Have you ever talked to Michael Entras? He's been contacting me, and he's from New Jersey. And I think I have a couple more people. I've had people trying to, like in southern Jersey, and I tried to hook them up with Janie, in New York. And then there's another guy, I've been in touch with. So I've hooked them up with New York people, but it would be great if you guys formed something in New Jersey, because I get people always asking me who's there they can work with.
Okay, well, you have my phone number, correct?
I put. Let me make sure I have it right. I have 267-218-5184.
Oh, it's 5814.
5814. And I actually grew up part of my life in Jersey. I've got family there at LBI at the shore. And so if it weren't for COVID, I would be going back there more often, because I wanted to meet Karen Melton Stewart. She's not too far from there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, I was going to help her with her move. She was trying to sell her house, so I was going to go to Jersey when this whole COVID stuff started and help her, get her house ready, because she was really, really struggling, Like she was basically living in her basement. She was getting hit so hard, and it was just terrible.
Well, can you do me a favor? Can you just shoot me a quick text just so I have your contact information, and you tell me what your name is?
The other woman was from Bergen County, which I lived there as a child for like a year or two. What part of Jersey are you in?
I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm right outside of Philadelphia.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, so you're real close to LBI. If I was at LBI, we could definitely meet up and
I could be there in like 2 hours.
LBI, I usually fly into Philly and then I, drive, or they pick me up,
I've got family in New Jersey as well. But just shoot me a quick text just so I have your contact information.
Okay, yeah, because if you could meet this guy, I haven't obviously met him in person, but he says he's a vet, and it sounds like, he's being targeted really hard, so I don't know if he's in a wheelchair, but it sounds like he doesn't get out. He has someone from a church visiting him, and I don't know if you're willing to do something like that, but just, it'd be nice. In Colorado, we've got some people that check in on people like that. They kind of, just make sure that they're doing all right, and kind of buddy up. It's nice to have a buddy system.
That's a really good thing. I'm about to be homeless and can barely walk, and I'll just be dying on the streets, and nobody will know. And then they'll have my body and cash in. I just would like.
Where are you located? Maybe we can hook you up with someone.
Oh, God, that would be awesome. I'm just south of Santa Cruz on the central coast of California, which is south of San Francisco. So I'm closer to San Francisco than I am to L.A., and I'm on the coast. So Santa Cruz, people typically have heard of. I'm about 30 minutes south of Santa Cruz on the coast.
Okay. Well, there are tons of TIs in California. Do you work with Derek?
No, he's way south, and the ones in San Francisco I tried contacting over and over again, but I didn't have any success in connecting on any level, really. It was.
I recognize your voice. I think I've talked. What was your name? I think I've talked to you before.
Callie.
Callie.
But I find it interesting on this call, you guys are talking about Bergen County, outside of Philadelphia, and the Jersey Shore. All of my young and adolescent years were in those three places. It's really bizarre. Anyway, I guess just coincidence.
Law of attraction.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, yeah, you guys are, wow. Oh, I don't know. But just back to my full circle to what I raised on this call is just, in terms of the fine-tuning of what would follow or what would be alongside of, I wish there was a way to get those of us that are barely mobile and really don't know how we're going to maybe survive another couple of months on the planet, just to get us all in one place with those that can articulate and prepare the whatever needs to be communicated well. Because if we could there are enough healthy people in the planet in our country, I would like to believe, that still have empathy, and that would see that it's real suffering going on. This is a real thing, and if we could just motivate or get some of them through sheer empathy. And when they actually can digest what's happening, it's so overwhelming to people that this can actually happen, or, like we all know because we've lived it, right? If they can think it, they've got the funding, they've got the people, they've got the know-how, they can do whatever we could think of, right? But the average citizen couldn't grasp that concept because you're not.
Well, that's because people aren't framing it well. It's got to be framed in a way that people will believe it. And like on these calls, if somebody didn't know if they hadn't experienced this, when they listen in, it just sounds crazy as all, you know what.
I know.
And so we have to frame it, and that's why I always try to focus and get people to focus on the documentation, because that's real. You can literally show someone a video of the EMF tracking. I've taken it to police. They don't try to put me in a cycle because I say, look at this. I have evidence, and they look at it and their jaws drop open and they're like, oh my God, who do you think's doing it? Do you think it's the government? That's the first thing they ask me. And when you have good, solid technical evidence, people get it. They're like, that's not normal.
So could we marry up the technical evidence that the healthier ones can produce and know how to produce, and that it hasn't been stolen from them, along with enough of us that have been bombarded by this for 25, 30, 35 years, that are ready to kick the bucket and get I agree so much with everybody. We need numbers, big numbers, maybe just of us. Because
hello?
Yeah.
Hi. This is Marilyn in Kettering, Ohio. So I noticed with the perps, the one thing they do is that they have each other, and I think that they communicate and they're organized. And so the video that Ella has on her channel that Matthew Aaron worked on, it's really beautiful, and so far it's got 5,000 plus views, December 26th, and these are TIs, almost 500 thumbs up, 10 down. And so how do you get the people? YouTube is good because if you're unemployed and you have the internet and the time and you can sit back with a couple beers, you can go and scan all the TI videos, write it down, contact them, and say, do you want to go to the protest? Can I put you on a list? Can I confirm your name and address? You've shown your face on the internet. Do you want to be vetted? How much privacy do you want? Do you want to come to a TI Woodstock? Do you want to contribute money? Do you want to help organize? Traditional organization for, getting the public to help. We need help. I have black men taking over my brain. They are psychotic, and they are.
I'm sorry.
They're poor people. I mean, it's like.
I'm so sorry.
they're trying to think for me, and they're stupid. I can't let this go on.
Oh man.
So the other thing, the activism, it's obvious. I mean, you have to get TIs to come in a public space repeatedly to see each other face to face. And when you see people on camera, there's just, there's so many people in this video. It's like 50 minutes.
I watched it, the new one.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of it, though. If I was a regular person watching it, I wouldn't have gotten the message. I would have understood, man, there's a lot of people suffering terribly from something, but I wouldn't have gotten the context of it from that. But
right. Now, there was one kind of interesting part. When he shows his evidence, when he had the steam in his home,
right,
he showed two other victims' evidence, which was similar through the glass.
Yep.
And I imagine that a lot of us have this evidence in our windows and don't even know it. That it's just sitting on our glass, on our windows. You know what I mean?
Well, I looked for it.
So these kind of scars that I have on my head, they're microwave shots that are on my head, scars. So that's my evidence. Right. So it's like responding to what you were saying. That I agree that. And I've been saying it too, like this summer we should start to plan now.
Absolutely.
To be physically present.
Absolutely.
Because I don't want to see Black Lives Matter dominate every summer.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there is a window the window should be shut on racism. I think 2021 it should be shut. I think at this point you can go to college and you can get a job and you can buy a house. And that goes for everybody.
Except for us.
Many people are going to be poor of every nationality. Many people are going to suffer. People are suffering now and starving because of COVID. COVID is basically front of the press.
Yeah.
But we should be equally right next to it.
You just brought up a really good point about Black Lives Matter. Can I just interject, please? Did you guys notice, like, for the first time, like in all the years where black rights were given by law to blacks, but it didn't happen? But this year, this time, white people are joining in because it's the right thing to do. They have empathy. They know it's wrong what's going on. And that's what we need to do. We need to, whatever the Black Lives Matter movement, whatever clicked in a normal, regular citizen's mind that that's wrong, and they joined in voluntarily with that movement. That's what I'm trying to figure out how to engage. What do we need to do to get that?
We need those people to help us.
That's what I mean, but what do we need to do? Because most of them haven't even heard about us. That's what I'm getting at. What do we do initially in huge numbers?
We should have gone to the Black Lives Matter protest and talk to the protesters about the weapons and our suffering and pass out flyers.
We contact Amnesty International and find out the next time they're going to be in D.C. and try and coordinate with them.
Who's Amnesty International?
What?
I know. I've heard the term, but I don't know exactly when you say contact Amnesty International. Can you help me? Or?
It's a very large organization who has protested with targeted individuals in the past.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, thanks.
It would be reasonable to contact a large group that has a common denominator, and that's human rights.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Right, thank you. But you have to embellish on that. You have to not embellish. Wrong word. Sorry. You've got to work with that in this particular platform and see what you can come up with.
Yes. Leverage. We would be leveraging their audience and their contacts and all of that if we worked with them.
Yes. Yeah. Leveraging without.
Yeah, I mean the PS Judy Woodruff of PBS says now invisible attacks on American spies and diplomats. It's a medical mystery. Invisible attacks. I mean, we have to get more savvy and start to stalk the people that